is sort of like the last year of being a kid. After matric, whether you have passed or failed, that's the first time that you become an adult and you're responsible for yourself. Your parents are not going to come and force you to study anymore. So for us who have gone through that period, what advice would you give to the boys and girls who are about to start this new era? Stay focused would be my advice. You're now responsible for yourself. Also, if you're considering a gap year, find something to do, because that's not just about taking a break, a gap year, that is. Some people wait for varsity acceptance, others did not get funding, and many are simply needing more time to figure out their next move. But don't just sit at home, volunteer somewhere, gain some work experience, and as a parent, help that kid get involved in something. What's your advice for these kids? Come on, let's share what's worked for us. Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. There's another story that I want us to focus on the 702 open line this morning. There's a case of domestic abuse. You may have come across this. There's a case of domestic abuse that's been doing the rounds on social media. It's a couple from KwaZulu-Natal. The woman posted pictures of her bruises following an assault from her partner. It's actually quite devastating. I wouldn't even advise you to go look at those pictures. Apparently, the partner has done this before and the police have never really taken it up. So the police yesterday released a statement confirming that they've now arrested this gentleman. And their statement says, let me read some parts of it for you. It says, and I quote here, hardly 48 hours after the case was reported, police have on Monday, the 12th of January, arrested a 24-year-old suspect in connection with an alleged assault of his 31-year-old girlfriend and maliciously damaging her vehicle during a domestic violence-related incident in Umlazi. It's reported that the suspect called the victim to his place to collect her belongings. Upon arrival, the suspect allegedly assaulted the victim with a pipe and bit her with his teeth while also assaulting her with his hands. The victim reportedly ran back to her vehicle and the suspect followed her and damaged the rear windscreen of the vehicle. Police investigations also revealed that the victim is currently in hospital due to burn wounds, which she allegedly suffered when she was setting alight her boyfriend's car, which she burned to ashes. Once discharged from hospital, she will face counter charges of assault and malicious damage to property. It is worth noting that the two partners have a history of opening cases against each other. Those cases have been ventilated in court and were not necessarily of domestic violence in nature. Police are encouraging partners in a romantic or any domestic relationship to resolve their differences amicably or seek help from their trusted confidants so that they do not resort to violence. End quote. Now, two separate conversations here. One, this man has got to go to jail and be held responsible. Right? That is the first conversation. I've no sympathy for him. I think this is, once again, when government, our police needs to step up and make an example out of this young man. So that other men out there who are used to doing this to their partners know and understand that this is not something that's going to fly. You will be held accountable. Now, when I was reading this statement, I picked up something else, which is now another conversation I would like us to have. They are saying that this woman touched the vehicle of this gentleman. And when I read that part, I realized that I've actually been seeing a trend. I've been seeing lots of videos on social media of women who destroy the property of their partners when they find out that their boyfriends or husbands have betrayed them or have done something they don't like. So there are videos I've seen, I don't know if you've seen them, where the women will, like, there's one I saw 2 days ago of a woman who's breaking the windows of this man's house because the man is inside, right? And the woman says, open here, and the man doesn't want to open, and this woman is just breaking the windows. Last week I saw another clip of a woman who was breaking the windows of the car of her partner while the partner is in the house because the partner didn't want to come out of the house. What I'm liking about what we are seeing now is, one, the men are recording these things, and I think that's very important. In fact, I've seen I'm glad that women also record. I mean, this woman who has shown her bruises, unfortunately, this is the length you have to go to for there to be accountability and for there to be swift accountability. In this case, this woman, I'm glad that they put up these pictures of themselves, which is so sad because you have to be, can you imagine putting yourself out there like that? That requires you to be vulnerable. That takes away a bit of your dignity. But what do you do when you have cried and said, my man is beating me and violating me and assaulting me? Nothing is happening to them. And maybe those are the positive aspects of social media, because then there's public pressure, the police are forced to act. But equally so, I see that a lot of men are taking videos of women, well, and I'm talking about the cases I've seen, women who are destroying their property. And I'm sure there are men who destroy women's property as well. I haven't seen videos of that yet. The point I'm trying to make is, why do we resolve issues like that? Why do we feel so entitled? Yes, on the one hand, I'm talking about the entitlement to women's bodies where you think because they've done something wrong or because they are challenging you on something, you think you've got the right to lay your hands on them. But also, where do we get this idea that just because you found out that your partner is cheating on you, you can go touch their car? Or you found that your partner has done something you don't like, you go break the windows because you want to force them to have a conversation with you? That's ridiculous. And that is also unacceptable. And I'm not trying to suggest here that the two are equal. They're not. Violence is a completely different thing, which is why I'm separating both conversations. But you and I need to be honest about how we resolve our issues with our partners. Why do we resolve our differences like this? Why can't we find ways without violence, without damage to property? I would like you to share your thoughts and give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note if this is something you've also picked up. Because maybe what I've seen are isolated incidents. But I'm still worried. I'm still worried that you want to break a window of someone. You want to break the door to force your boyfriend or your husband to speak to you. You want to go touch their car to force them to have a conversation with you, or because you want to come in, what, so that you guys can have a fight and one of you can go open a case against the other? We need to do better. And maybe these are isolated cases, which is why I'm putting it out there. Is it something you've also picked up? How do we resolve this? And of course, the issue of violence. My goodness. What is it going to take? This woman is lucky that she has survived. Thank God. But do you know how many other women out there have not survived abuse and assault from their partners? 011-883-0702. I'll take your WhatsApps as well. At 10 o'clock, we're going to speak to the Minister of Basic Education, Siviwe Kwahube, about that 88% pass rate achieved by the class of 2025. What does this indicate about our education system? What has improved? What are the weaknesses? And how do we deal with the dropout rate before grade 12? I think it's now at 24% or so, according to the latest stats. 10:30, we focus on options that are available for the class of 2025, whether you passed or failed. Remember, over 656,000 learners or so passed matric. Over 345,000 of them qualify for university admission. And yet, the Department of Higher Education has less than 200,000 or so spaces available at universities and TVET colleges for first-time entering students. That leaves many, like thousands and thousands of other students that are not able to get in. So what happens to them? What are the options available? At 11 o'clock, we're going to do our World of Work feature. Today, we're discussing career goals. It's important to set goals in your career, even if it's something you do like this quarter or this year or the next 5 years. We're going to tell you why it's important to do that. And then we're going to wrap up the show at 11:30 with our health and wellness feature. Today, we are discussing detoxing, when and how to do it, because a lot of people out there are detoxing now following a hectic festive season. But also, there are people who think they're detoxing, but that's not really working out. So we'll tell you what's the right way to do it at 11:30 on our health and wellness feature. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good morning, Clement. I would also want to congratulate the class of 2025. Kudos to them. However, on that note, it's quite concerning, as you just mentioned, that, the decline in mathematics is really, really concerning. And I'm really hoping that, we would continue encouraging our kids, to take up maths. And yeah, it's really concerning, Wena Clement. But, let's just congratulate them for doing well. And yeah, this is Pete from Tembisa. Thanks, Clement.
Good morning, Clement and the team. As for this GBV situation, I'm so against it. Obviously, as a woman, I think it must come to a stop. I'm just against women who are also harming others as well. I feel like GBV is GVB, gender-based violence. It's not just man on woman. It can also go vice versa. So I feel it's an individual thing. People have anger and they take it out on each other. And I am so against women who use this as a way to get away with them. So I think both parties should be held accountable. And I think we must protect ourselves against individuals who violate us emotionally, physically, spiritually, or anything like that. So yeah, protect yourself.
Yeah. So some messages are also coming through on the WhatsApp line. Remember, I'm asking for advice. Please, what worked for you? Because I think that's gonna help some learners out there that are about to start this new era. What has worked for you? So when you finished matric, what happened? Like, what did you realize about life? Just give them some advice, please, so that they know what they're getting into. I think they'll appreciate that later on in life. So what advice do you give to the class of 2025, whether they failed or not? I think this year is the first year where you become an adult, my dear. Parents are not going to force you to study. They're going to come. You are on your own, and you need to, and by on your own, I don't mean your parents or family or loved ones are not going to support you. I mean, your life is really your responsibility now. You choose, you are at university on your own, you're at a TVET college on your own, you're doing that gap year, trying to figure out what to do next. A lot of that really relies on you. So there's a lot of responsibility that is on you. So please, some advice to the class of 2025. You can call or send a WhatsApp voice note. And then Vincent on the WhatsApp line says, hi, Clement. That woman too is wrong for burning the car. She must face justice too. Actually, she must be charged of arson. That girl, I don't agree with the beating, but she must also be held accountable. Well, yeah, that's why I said the police have released a statement, which I read for you earlier, which indicates that they've indicated that the police investigations have revealed that this woman is currently in hospital due to burn wounds, which she allegedly suffered when she was setting alight her boyfriend's car, which she burnt to ashes. So as soon as she's discharged from hospital, she's going to face counter charges of assault and malicious damage to property. So, but the point I'm making here is, because nobody is trying to justify and finding a causal link here, right? Because someone would argue that, yeah, but why did she burn the car? I would also beat her up. No, nothing ever justifies you laying your hands on somebody else, more so your partner, just because they've done something that you don't like. That doesn't give you a right to lay your hands on them. So, hence I'm trying to separate the two conversations. What this man has done is despicable. He must go to jail. He must be used once again as an example to many other men out there who think they've got a right to lay their hands on women that they are involved with. Equally so, I think we need to have a conversation about what I think is a trend, and I could be wrong. I'm asking you if this is something you've also picked up. Dow on WhatsApp line says, Clement, women also fight dirty. I'm too scared to cheat on my wife because she warned me what she will do if I cheat on her. throwing sugar in the car engine, etc. They have no rules. But also, why you should be scared to cheat on your wife, not because she's threatening to throw sugar in your car engine, but because it's a decent thing to do, to just be in a relationship with your wife and not cheat on her. No? Again, I don't know. I think, and this is my worry. The more we see these incidents, the more they become normalized. Because there would be like one incident where a woman like touches the car of their husband or partner because they found that partner with another woman, or or where they're breaking down the windows, or they're trying to damage some property that belongs to their partner because the partner has done something wrong. That is crazy. And I worry that the more we see these incidents, the more that behavior becomes normalized. And I'm not sure if as a society we're even ready to have this conversation. Because for the longest time, we are a society that's always justified the actions. You justify the actions of, but what would you do if your man has also been stressing you out for the whole time that you've been with them? I would also go crazy and do 1, 2, 3. The minute we start justifying that nonsense, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to be in trouble. The minute we think that certain crimes are justified, and of course, there are certain crimes that can be justified. There are women who are in prison right now, or who have gone to court because they defended themselves and ended up killing their husbands in the process. I know there are other cases, exceptional cases, that would require you to defend yourself like that. But I'm talking about cases where you just walk in and you say to your partner, come out, let's talk. The partner says, no, I don't want to come out now. And then you think you've got a right to throw stones at the house? That's crazy. Sister, you're calling us from Parktown. Good morning.
Clement, how are you?
Hi.
Clement, I think as a society we need to decide what is it that we want.
Hmm?
We have shows like We Are Jola 99 where you would see how people are entertained by this woman finding out that her boyfriend or husband is cheating, and she's beating the other woman, she's beating the other man, and there's like a whole lot, I see this thing every time on my Mother's Day because she loves the show, and I start thinking, my goodness, what is this that entertains people so much about violence? I think we need to ask ourselves, what is it that we want? We cannot say we are condoning something, but be entertained by it on TV when we see it and we think it's fun, because that's what kids are seeing. That's what young women are seeing. That's what young men are seeing. What they are seeing is that this is right. It's the right thing to do. So, talking about that woman, my question for that woman, she says, if you read the stories on Twitter, she says, I've reported this 4 times. I have 4 cases that I've reported. What happened then? What did the police do?
The police have released a statement saying that those matters have been to court and they were not necessarily of domestic violence.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They were not necessarily of a domestic violence, but that woman is not what she's saying. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just think, we need the police to act decisively. Whether it's a woman beating a man, a man beating a woman, we need action to be equally, treated, and these consequences to be equal for both genders, not just for women. But I just think for this woman, the frustration is that I went to the system, I asked for help over and over again, and I didn't get help. And this man almost killed me now. This time, then suddenly something is happening. Somebody knows about it. I think that's where we need to decide, Clement, what is it that we really want as a community and a society.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Sister in Parktown, thank you so much for your thoughts. Here's a WhatsApp voice note that's come through.
Good morning, Clement. I would also want to congratulate the class of 2025. Kudos to them. However, on that note, it's quite concerning, as you just mentioned, that, the decline in mathematics is really, really concerning. And I'm really hoping that, we would continue encouraging our kids, to take up maths. And yeah, it's really concerning, when Clement. But let's just congratulate them for doing well. And yeah, this is Pete from Tembisa. Thanks, Clement. Hey.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Pete. It's 9:30. Tell you what, after the latest Eyewitness News headlines, I'll try to get the police in KwaZulu-Natal to come and talk to us about what they have done before when these cases of assault were laid at the police station by this woman. And I'm interested in that line on their statement where they say the cases that have been opened in the past were not necessarily of domestic violence. So maybe I must get them to come and clarify what those cases were about. Because the challenge here is sometimes the police, you report domestic violence. They don't act until it's on social media, because then there's pressure to do something. That cannot be how the police do their job. They cannot follow up on cases and act swiftly only when the matters are trending on social media. So we'll find out from the KZN police what happened over the last couple of years and why have they not acted when this women have laid cases. Sviso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Matriculants continue to celebrate the country's 88% historic pass rate as they get their results this morning. Diepsloot Secondary School number 2 has joined in the celebrations for obtaining a 100% pass rate. Staff members and matriculants as well as parents have made their way to the school. In a break from tradition, the National Assembly will meet for its first sitting of the year today to pass the medium-term budget. Usually this is concluded before the House rises at the end of the calendar year. But owing to disagreements over the main budget in early 2025 and the subsequent delays in getting it passed, it had the knock-on effect on pushing out the tabling of the adjustment budgets to November. And U.S. President Donald Trump has reportedly been briefed on a wide range of covert and military tools for use in Iran. Long-range missile strikes remain an option for a potential U.S. intervention, but Pentagon officials have also presented cyber operations and psychological campaign responses. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this hour in Irene, slow-moving traffic. This is on May Pierce Drive approaching Main Road. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land looking pretty good. No serious accidents have been reported on our highways. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights. Edenvale, Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeck, traffic lights still not working. In Randburg at Witkoppen and Riverbend, as well as in Sunninghill at Witkoppen and Rivonia Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
The TRC Commission into TRC crimes that's been underway, there's been a call for Justice Sisi Khampepe to recuse herself from that. The former presidents, Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki, are both asking for the recusal of Sisi Khampepe.
Former President Jacob Zuma takes it a step further, and he believes that there's a personal vendetta against him because Justice Sisi Khampepe penned that judgment against him that resulted in his arrest. They go as far as saying that she's got blood on her hands.
The Midday Report.
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Mzansi, 156 million rand. This Tuesday, Powerball has exploded to a breathtaking 156 million rand jackpot, one of the biggest jackpots ever. Don't delay, play Powerball today and you could win a jackpot to remember. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
You can become a victim of a legal problem, wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Need a seat? Try 7 or 5. It's your call. Want a sunroof? Make it a panoramic. Gotta have power? How does award-winning 138 kilowatt sound? The Changan CS75 Pro is big enough for the kids, smart enough for your playlist, and stylish enough for your Friday night too. Why settle when you can have it all without compromise? The Changan CS75 Pro. Drive tomorrow's SUV today. Visit changanmotors.co.za for more.
Changan, driven to evolve. And the award for the spiciest stunt performed in a bowl goes to Tom Yum Cruise.
Thank you everyone. Wow, what an honor.
I'd like to thank the chilies, the lemongrass, and of course, Simply Asia, for believing in my flavor.
It's the summer of stars at Simply Asia. Stand a chance to win a Toyota Starlet when you spend 200 Rand or more on our famous flavors. Order now. Simply Asia, connecting the Thaiway.
Infrastructure, capital, industrial renewal. Tomorrow, Nedbank CIB joins Clement Manyathela for a conversation on unlocking South Africa's economic potential through strategic infrastructure investment. How do we mobilize capital at scale? What role do credible partnerships play in turning infrastructure projects into industrial renewal? From energy and logistics to bankable projects that rebuild confidence. It's a discussion focused on execution, not ambition. Don't miss this crucial discussion on the Clement Manyathela Show, Wednesday, 14 January, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on 702.
702
WhatsApp Clement
on 072
702
1702.
24 minutes before 10 o'clock, I've been asking you for advice for the class of 2025. Oh, one advice I forgot. Please make sure you don't choose a career that because your mother or your dad or your brother, your sister are passionate about and you're not. If you don't feel it, you do not feel it. And I've picked up that a lot of us end up wasting a lot of time at university. We go study something we don't really like, and then we're going to change it in 2 years' time, or after graduating, we realize we want to stay in school because now we want to do what we really want to do. And I hope as parents as well, listening to us now, you know not to put pressure on your child. If you know your child is artistic, wants to be a graphic designer, but you've always thought you want your child to be a doctor, respect that. Respect that. That is their choice. You got nothing to do with a decision about what they're passionate about and what they want to do as a career. Yeah?
Good morning, Clement. Thank you for a beautiful show. Happy New Year. Clement, I would advise the matriculants to study further. Study as best as you can, study as much as you can, study. And don't just aim for a degree. Get your honors, get your masters. Equip yourself, learn how the world works, understand how the world works. It makes you better, it makes you more valuable. You can be in a position where you're paid more and you are highly desired. So study, Hector and Madrid.
Morning, Clement and Tim Apari here from a report nice show today. Clement, my advice to the learners that failed is I also failed I failed also. 2009 I failed, came back 2010, passed with bachelor's degree. So just keep your head up and then check your statement, see which subject gets you, and then do extra lessons for that subject that gets you. I failed maths and science, so I focused on science more, and I did a little bit of maths. Other subjects I passed really good, but maths and physics and maths, so I pushed on those subjects harder the following year. That's why I passed. So just keep your head up. It's not the end of the world.
Good morning, Clemmy. It's Ali here from Joburg. I just want to congratulate my sister for getting a 100% rate. She's a teacher in Limpopo. Second year in success. Well done, my sister. She has done a very great job. 100%, second row in a success. Thank you, Clement.
Perfect. And thank you for all of you that are also sending out advice for the class of 2025. Peter, my colleague here, just reminded me that it's also okay to be confused. Because a lot of us at that age, we don't really know what we are passionate about. I wasn't sure myself. I knew that it's going to be somewhere in this industry, but I really wasn't sure where exactly am I going to plug myself. So it's also okay to be confused and to want to figure out what is it I like. And that's why it's important to at least speak to other people who can advise on what are your interests. You know, they can help you find what you are passionate about. 20 minutes before 10.
Your voice,
your station,
your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
All right, we've got the KwaZulu-Natal police to speak to us about this case. We have been discussing of this woman who is now in hospital after being assaulted by this man, and this woman, the police are telling us, will also be facing counter charges of assault and malicious damage to property, because their investigations have revealed that she actually suffered burn wounds after she tried to set alight. In fact, she did set alight her boyfriend's car, which really burnt to ashes. So we've got Colonel Robert Nechunda, who is the KZN SAPS spokesperson, joining us now on the line. Colonel Nechunda, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Morning to you, Clement, and to your listeners.
So the first clarification I would like to get from you is the cases that this woman has laid before in the past against this man. What do those involve? Because part of what she complained about when she posted pictures of her bruises is that she's tried to lay criminal charges against this man before, and you have simply not acted as the police.
What we can say is that in our records, we have got only one previous case she has laid, and that's a case of assault, which opened in December 2025. That is a few weeks ago. It was in the middle of December, so it could be 2 weeks or so ago, that she opened that case in Berea, here in Durban.
Yeah.
And that was the only case against that suspect.
So that's a case of assault?
Of assault, yes.
Okay, what did you do about that as the police?
That case was still under investigation. It was not as severe as what happened recently. A common assault.
Oh,
that.
Oh, Colonel, I'm putting you back to the producers. The line is not good at all. Let's try re-establish that line with Colonel because it's breaking, and I really want to hear what he's got to say. While we sort that out, let's play some WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Hi Clem, I'll try to keep it short. As someone who once also smashed their boyfriend's car windows, I feel so embarrassed. It has been over 5 years since we broke up, and I'm still embarrassed to this day. I regret it. Every time I think about it, I regret it. I had so much anger issues, and I went to therapy just to try to heal that part of myself. But I tell you that it is wrong. It's embarrassing. It still embarrasses me to this day.
I'm glad though that you've realized that what you did was wrong. You know, I'm still stuck on some people who think that we can find a way to justify it. No, we can't find a way to justify it. What gives you the right to go smash your boyfriend's window just because they've betrayed you? Huh? Someone indicated on the WhatsApp line earlier that, yeah, but sometimes they provoke us to this point. Oh, okay. So if we want to use the principle of provocation, what happens when you are busy shouting? Because this is a ridiculous argument that's also been used by some men who say, yeah, but she was disrespecting me and clapping me and like pushing me around. What was I? She provoked me to beat her up. No, that's ridiculous. That is unacceptable. So you cannot want to claim that, yeah, but my man provoked me too much. That's why I ended up smashing his vehicle. But you can accept it on the other side when the man says, yeah, she provoked me too much. That's why I ended up doing this. Because we're using the principle of what? Provocation, right? Whether you are being provoked until you beat someone up or you're being provoked until you destroy their property. The idea is you were provoked. Something was done to push you to that act. And I'm arguing that that is unacceptable. Let's bring back Colonel Robert Nechunda. We've got him, I understand, on a better line now. Colonel, you were still explaining that this woman laid a charge of assault in December. And I was asking, what have you done about that as the police?
I was explaining that the case was still under investigation. You will recall that as the police, when a case is reported, ours is to investigate. And when we have enough evidence, we go and effect an arrest. That was not done yet. And when she opened a different case, a different police station in Umlazi, we did the same, investigated, and then within 48 hours, that we made an arrest. and he was charged again for that case in December.
Okay, so he was also, you see, if this woman didn't post these pictures and the police in Umlazi didn't act in arresting this man in that 48 hours, what was going to happen to the first case? So it almost feels like this is what urged the police to also start acting on the other case that was opened a couple of weeks ago.
It is not a new thing. When we investigate cases, we almost always find that, for example, we might arrest somebody for just a firearm. But when we look at the firearm, we find that it was used in murder. Then we check the person for murder. So that's what happens. We did our own analysis that this person is also a suspect on this case. Then he was charged for that matter. But what has been ordered is that the police in Berea should have a thing to answer as to what was the delay in the suspect. So we are awaiting that report from them. We are pleased that when we arrested him yesterday, we were able to detect that was also a suspect on this case. Remember, the victim herself had not mentioned that case on the screenshot that she put on social media. So it was not an influence whatsoever.
Okay, just to be clear, what are you saying about the police officer in Berea in the report you're waiting for? Is that officer being investigated?
Not investigated. They are told to produce a report. What was the delay in arresting the suspect on that particular matter? Because it was
Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, I tried. I really tried. The line is acting up, and I've got one last. Let me try just one last time. I just want to ask about what happened when the women touched the vehicle. I know the line is breaking, but I'm crossing fingers that it comes through. Oh, okay, it cut off. The line is gone now. All right, let's go to Kenneth. Oh, before I go to Kenneth, I must take a quick ad break. It's 12 minutes before 10 o'clock. Kenneth, Tsepo, I see your calls. I'll come to them after this.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Any kind of physical activity does not have to involve the gym. You could literally just put on a pair of running shoes, go for a run.
Exactly. That's what I love about park runs, which is one of my New Year's resolutions. I've been told that, that's where you can also meet a boyfriend. So I'm trying this year.
This is a very revealing conversation, Kopana.
So if you want to do any public service announcement, maybe it should be that. Let's get me married.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
You may be paying more for petrol, but with insurance, you could be saving on your car insurance. Like 29-year-old Enoch, who saves a sweet 709 Rand on his 2018 BMW 318i. Get a quote now, and if OutSurance can save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim free and with the same insurer for 3 years. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. OutSurance, licensed insurance FSP. T's and C's and information online.
In Africa, we say the chameleon looks in all directions before moving. At Plus 94 Research, we understand the importance of careful consideration. By analyzing comprehensive data and diverse perspectives, we help you make informed decisions that stand the test of time. Don't leap without looking. Move forward with insight and precision. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision making.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. You're with Clement Manyathela.
702 Let's walk the talk.
10 minutes before 10 o'clock. Just quickly, Kennel Nichuanda, we've got him on a landline now. And I just have one last question for him, and then I'm going to come to your calls. Kenneth and Sabo, I'll start with you in a moment. Kennel Nichuanda, you were explaining what's going to happen. So you're saying you're waiting for a report that's going to determine what the delay was in as far as the first case that was opened in December is concerned. The question I had, though, is about the woman, because your statement indicated that she touched the vehicle of this man. Did that happen before this man assaulted him or afterwards?
The touching of the vehicle happened yesterday in the morning. What we are hearing from the suspects that we've arrested is that because we found him at a clinic where he went to seek assistance for the injuries he sustained during what he called their fight on Sunday night. And the case we're talking about, she reported it on Friday night. So that means after that fight, they had another one on Sunday night, which led to his injuries as well, as he said. So she touched his vehicle on Monday morning. So she was in hospital not because of injuries sustained from the assault, because she had burnt herself as she was burning the car.
Yes. Well, Colonel Robert Nichuanda, KZN SAP spokesperson, thanks for making time for us. Kenneth, you're calling us from Kramerville. What are your thoughts?
Thanks, Clement. I hear a lot of people who are justifying violence for their cheating partners. I mean, some of these things I always say that it's emotional intelligence. I mean, if you are going to reduce yourself to the level of the next person, it clearly, and resorting to violence, thinking that you can fix your cheating partner, that's plain stupid. There's no emotional intelligence, zero. But, it's all well and good to justify violence and resort to violence until you end up with a criminal record which is going to prevent you from doing anything meaningful in life. So I see a lot of people who are saying this, but wait until you get a criminal record for your behavior.
Exactly.
Because you won't do anything in life, Clement. These days when employers are hiring, because there are so many people on the job market, they are looking for a criminal record and they look for those things from the police. You will never get a job. You will never live a meaningful life. So I just can't understand or wrap my head around people who are justifying violence for the behavior, cheating behavior and all of that.
Absolutely. Kenneth, before you leave, I do know your name. I won't mention your name.
Yeah, please.
I can hear the voice. It's good to hear, man. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Sure. I know Kenneth. Yeah. That's not his real name, but I've worked with him before. Many years ago when I had just graduated. And I can pick up that voice. So he is the person I think he is. Tsepo, you're in Rosebank. What do you want to say to the class of 2025?
Hi, Clement. My mandate is to say that I am as proud as you are about the matriculants of 2025. I'm proud by a guy or a learner from a school in Morokweng, Sitswakotsing, was mentioned as one of the best performers. And everybody else, I'm just excited. I just hope the universities will accept them. I hope NSFAS has got their doors open. They said they are ready to fund those who will be funded. And Clement, we are here. You are here. You are a role model to the young ones. Please keep on doing what you are doing. And I know I haven't wished you a happy New Year because you and Bongani said you're gonna finish on a particular day, but I just heard you wishing Kenneth a happy.
As I said it, I thought, oh damn! I thought I made a promise yesterday. All right, Sapo, happy New Year to you too. Sapo calling us from Rosebank. Let's go to some WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702.
And that is exactly the point. We cannot justify anything. If we provoke our partner into a point where they feel they've got to lay a hand on us, I don't think either is right. I think in South Africa, we tend to want to justify things, but at the end of the day, a relationship should be built on trust and mutual respect. If you feel like you've got to lay a hand on someone, walk away. Walk away. If you feel you've got to burn someone's car, walk away.
Good morning, Clement. I think we need to be careful of how we frame things.
When you speak about the male, you call his actions despicable. But when you refer to the torching of the vehicle by the female, you take the topic into a general conversation around abuse and the use of violence when it comes to partners and relationship. I think gender-based violence is wrong, period. I do not think that the degree changes based on who commits the gender-based violence. Jose, Johannesburg South.
But nobody made that argument that the degree changes, hey, Jose? That's definitely not what I've said. And you know what? I tried in the beginning to separate the conversations because I know this. I know that sometimes there are people who will selectively hear me. So I try to stress these things to avoid us getting to a point where people say, yeah, how dare you compare touching a kaya and beating up someone? That's not what I'm doing. It's not. And I'm not more angry at one and less angry at the other. Of course, I do think that when you beat up someone and when you touch a vehicle of someone, those are two completely different things. But those are two things that equally need to be looked at, and you must be held accountable for those actions. I'm saying this man is despicable for what he has done. That's you have no right to lay your hands on another person just because they've irritated you, just because you feel they've provoked you. You have no right to do that. That is ridiculous, and I hope that he goes to jail for a very, very, very long time. And I then said, I'm moving on to the woman, separating the two, and I said, that is also despicable. That is also a despicable thing. It's ridiculous. What are you doing? Just because your man has cheated on you, you think you have a right to destroy their property? That is crazy. And we need to move away from justifying nonsense like that. And if you want to argue that, yeah, but he provoked me, can men also argue that you've provoked them? No. So two things can exist at the same time. We can, one, condemn this man for what he has done and wish that the police do their job and he lands in jail and he's held accountable. But equally so, we can call out these actions. The same way we've done with the Eastern Cape Judge President. Remember when we discussed that? He was wrong to go and hit on a woman who's younger than him when he understands the power that he holds. But we also questioned the lady, but why did you respond in those? And yes, we understood the complexity of the situation. Because sometimes what do you do as a lady who's being hit on by your boss? You say no and lose your job? Life is not as simple like that, but we're able to look at the nuances. That's what I was trying to invite us to do here, is to say, condemn the man. But let's also look at this behavior that seems to be, the trend is increasing. I'm seeing more and more videos of women who are destroying their men's properties because they found them cheating. And I'm saying that is also wrong. And you must be held accountable for destruction of property because that is a criminal act. It's a minute before 10.
There's a new way to experience all your favorites. Pulse Africa, the 24/7 fast channel, now live on primemediaplus.com and the Prime Media Plus app, bringing you the best of Prime Media around the clock. Watch the biggest moments from 7:02. It's non-stop entertainment and authentic African storytelling, all from Africa's leading media network. Pulse Africa, only on the primemediaplus.com and Prime Media Plus app.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9 featuring APSA. Their CEO, Kenny Fihla, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Progress builds, it moves, and it has a partner. That partner is Anglo-American. Together, we're building progress where it matters most across South Africa, with a 1 billion rand investment into education in our host communities, 1.6 billion rand in deals facilitated through our Impact Finance Network, and 25.9 billion rand invested through our Kumba iron ore business into areas such as infrastructure development, healthcare, community upliftment, and more. Proving that when collaboration is real, progress moves faster. South Africa has a partner. Anglo American. Mining potential, building beyond.
So, does your loan pay you back? With the Nedbank personal loan, you can cover education costs and get 200 Rand cash back every month when you open a My Goals Plus or premium account with your loan. That's extra cash to help with life's monthly extras. Now that's a loan that pays you back. Visit nedbank.co.za or search Nedbank personal loans today. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Matriculants are celebrating the country's 88% historic pass rate as they receive their results this morning. Diepsloot Secondary School number 2 has joined in the celebrations for obtaining a 100% pass rate. Staff members and matriculants as well as parents have made their way to the school. Tandoluhle Ngobo reports.
One of the matriculants from the school achieved 3rd position in the top performing quintile 2 schools in the country. Every time a member of the staff drives through the gates of the school, is followed with loud sounds of the horn blaring and music blasting. The school's SGP member Matome Mokonyamane says staff and learners persevered last year.
We will never be determined or we are from Diepsloot, that the results will be otherwise. We are here to make it and to make a noise to the world out there that there is a school in Diepsloot, even under difficult material conditions, but we still produce a good result.
Quite a number of the learners have made their way into the school now and are being assembled, and you can see others slowly making their way up the small hill into the premises. Tandoluhle Ngobo, Eyewitness News, Diepsloot Secondary School number 2.
In a break from tradition, the National Assembly will meet for the first sitting of the year today to pass the medium-term budget. Usually this is concluded before the House arises at the end of the calendar year. Owing to disagreements over the main budget in early 2025 and the subsequent delays in getting it passed, it had the knock-on effect of pushing out the tabling of the adjustments budgets to November. Lindsay Dentlinker has more.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana stunned the country when he tabled the medium-term budget policy statement in November and lowered the inflation target to 3%, a decision pundits only expected him to make when he tables the 2026 budget next month. Today, the National Assembly will be expected to give the thumbs up to adjustments made to the 2025 budget, including more money for the local government elections and an allocation for the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry investigating police corruption. The Division of Revenue Bill, which apportions additional funding to the provinces and municipalities, has already been passed by both houses. Parliamentary spokesperson Moloto Matapo.
Parliament is now finalizing the remaining legislation that allows government to respond to changing economic conditions and emerging priorities during the current financial year.
MPs will also be considering a special appropriations bill allocating 754 million rand to the Health Department to plug the gap left by the United States pulling the plug on HIV/AIDS support. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The man arrested in connection with the murder of media personality Warwick Stock, known as DJ Wallace, is this morning expected to apply for bail in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court. Victor Majola is accused of premeditated murder after Stock was shot and killed in the CBD last month. Majola was arrested exactly a week after the shooting. Oren Singh reports.
2 people initially arrested alongside Victor Majola for the murder of media personality Warwick Stock, otherwise known as DJ Wallace, were never charged in the murder case. Majola's attorney, Dumisani Mabunda, alleges that the state intends to use a statement obtained from a woman initially arrested alongside Majola to oppose his client's bail.
That statement, which the police actually wants to use to link this particular accused to the crime. However, that particular lady actually denied in front of the police in my presence that she made a statement.
Mabunda says Majola has no previous convictions or pending cases and remains positive about his bail application this morning.
We are convinced that we are actually going to get bail on behalf of this particular accused.
Stock was killed outside a previously hijacked building called Zambezi House that he was contracted to audit, safeguard and renovate. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
And U.S. President Donald Trump has reportedly been briefed on a wide range of covert and military tools for use in Iran. Long-range missile strikes remain an option for a potential U.S. intervention, but Pentagon officials have also presented cyber operations and psychological campaign responses. Trump announced a 25% tariff on goods from countries with commercial ties to Iran on Monday, as rights groups say more than 600 protesters have been killed in 3 weeks of anti-government protests. Iran's foreign minister has said Tehran is open to talks with Washington, but remains prepared for war. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Well, I think one thing President Trump is very good at is always keeping all of his options on the table, and airstrikes would be one of the many options that are on the table for the commander-in-chief. Diplomacy is always the first option for the president.
Gold is trading at $4,616.26 an ounce. The rand is at 16.39 to the dollar, 22.07 to the pound, 19.13 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $63.34 a barrel.
You can expect about a 20-minute delay. That's in the Edenville area, heading towards Bedford View on the R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Kilulis interchange, and in Hermanstad, Pretoria, leaving the CBD. Slow-moving traffic on Eskiam Pahlele between Van der Hof and the R80.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Matriculants are celebrating the country's 88% historic pass rate as they get their results this morning.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thanks for staying with us here on 702. Thank you for your contributions on the 702 open line. So there's something I said on the just towards the end of the open line about making sure that you also, as the class of 2025, as a student, you choose what you want to study. Do something that you are passionate for. But I'm getting some messages, like take this one for instance, on the WhatsApp line, someone who says, "Hi Clement, okay, where is that message?" It says, Clement, I want to advise some matriculants to also listen to their parents. Students are not alone now. It depends on the parenting. I came from an Indian family and I didn't have a choice. I had to do well and I had to study a good degree, no options. I honestly am grateful for that upbringing. So there are some people who are sending me messages and saying, well, my parents forced me to do medicine, forced me to study law, and I'm very grateful now that that is exactly what I ended up doing because I can see the fruits now. You are lucky, right? And maybe there are exceptional cases like that where you were forced to study a particular career, to follow a particular career, and you did, and you are seeing the fruits and you've come to enjoy it. But there are some people who ended up doing stuff that they've never really been comfortable with. Yeah? There are people who feel, I was forced to do this thing, but it's not my thing. You also don't want to, I said to More Flavor, my colleague from 947, because we finish our shows at the same time, so we always walk to the parking lot at the same time. So, and we often have conversations, and yesterday we were just reflecting on how lucky we are that as tired as you may be, whether at the end of the year or whatever the case is, at least we're lucky enough to come to do the job that we enjoy. We were reflecting on that just yesterday, that there are people out there who, on top of just being exhausted, they must still go to work and they're doing work that they hate. Oh, I cannot imagine how difficult that is. And for whatever reason, I cannot imagine that. Because at least whether I am dealing with my own personal issues or at least work is not something that adds on that stress in as far as enjoying what I do is concerned. So I think, yes, maybe exceptional cases there where people have been forced to do things, follow careers by their parents, and it's worked out for them. But for some people, it just didn't. And maybe let me ask you then to share your thoughts with us on that. Are you one of those whose parents have forced them to study and follow certain careers? How has it worked out for you? Have you succeeded in that? Or has it not worked for you and you are now considering, or you've considered other options that you really do enjoy? Please share your experiences with us. Call us on 011-883-0702, or you can send a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702.
Let's walk the talk.
This is Clement Manyathela
On 702.
So 88%, the pass rate for the class of 2025. Let's start the conversation now with the Minister of Basic Education, Siviwe Kwagube. Minister, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to the listeners of 702.
88% pass rate, quite historic, isn't it? What does it indicate about our education system at this point?
I think, firstly, I want to sincerely congratulate the class of 2025 for a really, really good innings. Remember, this class is not one that was not without difficulty. In 2021, while we were hit heavily by COVID-19, these learners were in grade 8. So they've also suffered quite a bit of learning losses during their high school years. So we're extremely proud of the class of 2025. But I think what was also for me, which I've become quite intentional about, is how do we dissect the actual figures to look at quality indicators, to look at what the figures are really telling us. And a couple of things I think stand out for me. Number one, I think we ought as a country to be quite proud of the fact that 66% of bachelor passes are coming from quintiles 1 to 3 schools.
Amazing.
So those are the poorest schools, and I think that's something to really be proud of. I was also just quite struck by the fact that, we had a 57% increase of learners living with disabilities, not only participating in the NSC, but also really succeeding well. But of course, one of the things that I tried to do very well yesterday is to have a balanced approach in celebrating the successes, but also saying what is instructive to us. One of the things that is quite instructive to us is, which is a quality indicator, is the retention rate in our education system. We are seeing only a 4% drop in learner numbers between grade 1 and 10. However, the bigger crisis, I think, that we are seeing is between grades 10 and 12. We're seeing a far higher dropout rate, particularly around boy children. But also, I'm still not entirely happy, Clement, with regards to the performance of our maths and science. And so we're really going to have to pull up our socks in this year in that regard.
Okay, so I want to go back to the issue of the retention rate, because this is something that even your predecessors have had issues with. Do we actually know what is the reason for this dropout rate?
We do. There's a number of reasons that are attributed to the dropout rate. I think number one is that we're starting to see a lot more children, failing between grade 10 and grade 12. And what that does is that it discourages them from coming back to school. And we're also seeing a lot more children, if they are, remember, once they start getting older, a little bit too old for the grade, they also start becoming discouraged. But I think also, Clement, what we need to, and I think what we ought to be able to do and do better as a government, is being able to track people across the system. So are our learners, which is the work that Budimana Mel and I have started to do, are our learners in TVET colleges or institutions of higher learning when they leave our system? So we've started to do that work. But also I think it's important that as an entire government, we try and see our learners now ending up not in employment and training, group our learners ending up in prisons? Where exactly are they ending up? And I think that for me is the importance of data and credible data as a government. But I'm concerned about particularly the boy children between grade 10 and 12 and our losses there.
Yeah.
And part of it, and a large part of it, is the retention and the failure rate, which speaks to the support programs that we need to have.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the areas of improvement, you mentioned still concerns with mathematics. The mathematics pass rate has declined from 69% in 2024 to 64% in 2024. And that, as you know, highlights that even as you have this overall achievement that's rising, there are some serious gaps in foundational learning that must be urgently addressed. What's the plan to try and solidify this area that needs to be improved?
So two things. The one is long-term and the other one is slightly short-term. The one, and I think I was also quite intentional to really speak about this last night, is that we're not going to have quick wins in the system, and we have to be comfortable with that. That we have to invest in the foundations of learning, and that's why we've been quite intentional about saying that foundation phase, which starts from ECD. The only way we can get children to take up gateway subjects confidently and succeed in them is to make sure that they're able to read and read for meaning and count confidently by the time they turn 10. If you are unable to do that, you're not going to be able to have children who are able to take these gateway subjects all the way to matric and succeed. But in the short term, because there are obviously our learners who are now in grade 10, and this is where we see the bigger problem. As I said, I'm personally would want to see an increase from 34% participation in mathematics. I would like to see that increased. And I think part of what we ought to do in doing that, and what we've committed to doing, is seeing how best we can use grants like the Math, Science and Technology grant, conditional grant that we get from Treasury, to support provinces in making sure that support programs are in place for learners who are doing these subjects, so that they are able to continue and they're able to be supported. One of the big things and one of the big crises of austerity measures, Clement, is the fact that a lot of provinces are unable to do things like winter camps, extra support for learners who are struggling, because ultimately those things cost money. And so austerity measures are also starting to chip away at some of our progress that we are making in the system over time.
Yeah. What are the options, though, for those who have passed and those who haven't passed? And I'm asking this question because, when you look at the numbers, if I'm not mistaken, it's 656,000 learners who've passed matric. Over 345,000 of them qualify for university admission. And yet you still have the Department of Higher Education telling us that they have less than about 200,000 or so spaces across universities and TVET colleges for first-time entering students. What option, as the education minister, would you advise the parents listening to us whose children have passed and maybe are not getting the space or have not passed in the way that they wanted to?
Yeah. Firstly, I think I want to just address the learners who may not have been successful, to say, as a department, firstly to say that it's not the end of the journey for them. And that as a department, we have the Second Chance Matric program, we have options for rewrites, and that we really encourage learners to do this. In fact, what we've started to see is that learners who've repeated grades or had rewrites, some of them end up coming out with distinctions. And so I really want to encourage learners who may not have been successful to not give up on being able to do this kind of work. In terms of the issue around higher education, look, I think, Clement, it's a broader conversation I think South Africa needs to have, that we don't have the capacity. We are producing over 900,000 learners every year. Universities are saying we only have about 200,000 spaces to accept first-time and first years. And remember, these are not only South African students that they can and should accept. And so we really are pressed, considering the fact that we only have 26 universities. In my view, and this is the kind of work that I think Minister Manyathela and I should be engaged in, and as an entire government, is to say, how do we invest in our TVET and community colleges such that they become an attractive alternative? Because they currently, in my view, that, even if a child wants to pursue an area of wanting to go and pursue a skills-orientated qualification. But we have to make those technical and vocational institutions attractive to them. And that requires investment. And so my view is that we have to be able to say that, while universities are not the be it and end all, but we have to also make technical and vocational training a lot more attractive than it currently is.
Yeah, I've had a conversation with the Minister of Higher Education specifically about that, and he did indicate that they are now looking at public, private partnerships in order to try and do exactly that. They're uninspiring, Minister. I went there recently because I've got a family member that I'm taking through that system, and the buildings are dilapidated. It's just uninspiring. I wouldn't imagine anybody who's young who goes to that place and is inspired to work harder and want to do better. So let's hope the Department of Higher Education really follows through on that. What's the update on that process to review the education policies? This is something you announced as soon as you came in as the Minister of Education, because I believe that is exactly what's going to help us deal with these areas of improvements and where the weaknesses are.
Yeah. So look, we've got some exciting policy announcements that are coming up. I think in the next 3 months. A couple of them are around how do we lessen the administrative burden for teachers. You'll recall there was a study that was done by Stellenbosch several months ago when they said, when they interviewed a lot of teachers were saying they're not dissatisfied with the work that they're doing, but the administrative burden, the reporting requirements are incredibly arduous, and it's taking them away from essentially learning and teaching. So we've got the National Education and Training Council that has done that kind of work to see how do we streamline those reporting requirements. Something else that I think is going to be quite exciting for South Africans is the research around progression assessments, because I think it's also going to help us put to bed this myth around the 30% pass mark, and whether or not as South Africans we are really assessing our students at the rate at which we should. So there are a number of quite exciting, really meaty policy documents that are going to be coming up, which are really quite important, because as I said, I think it's important that it's not politicians who are making these kind of policy decisions on a whim, but that we should involve experts in the process. Yeah. And with regards to, I think, to the investment in higher education, I think when I was briefing the President 2 days ago around the exams, he was quite clear that, this is some work that he himself is prepared to put some muscle behind in really galvanizing the private sector around investment in making technical and vocational training a lot more attractive in South Africa. And we have to, Clement. It's a moral obligation, because currently then we're going to have about 400,000 learners who are not going to be able to have spaces in institutions of higher learning.
Yeah, and just lastly, Minister, back on the issue of mathematics and science, do you think we've got the right teachers? Do we have the best of the best in the system? Because, the conversation we can't run away from is that there are people who can do a better job at teaching maths and science, but they end up going to the private sector. So what conversations are we having then about whether it's their salaries and making sure that they are competitive, or other options to look at so that we get the best of the best to be the ones that teach our students?
Yeah. Look, I think we're seeing a younger cohort of teachers coming into the sector, which is really exciting. And the reason why it's exciting is the fact that we are also seeing them a lot more creative around teaching of gateway subjects. But we can't run away from the fact that we have to do a lot more work to attract the best teachers, particularly for gateway subjects and technical subjects, for instance. And that's where we are struggling. But I think for me, Clement, the most urgent, crisis is mostly getting learners competent and confident enough to be able to continue with those gateway subjects, while obviously trying to make sure that we do attract the best teachers. It will always be, we will always have to struggle with independent schools when it comes to this. But as I said, the Stellenbosch study for me was instructive. That teachers were not complaining about salaries. They were mostly complaining about how arduous and the duplication of work and all of that, which is taking them away from the classroom. So I think, yes, we have, obviously, we have to attract a lot more talented teachers, but we're seeing a younger cohort of teachers who are coming into the sector, and that, I think, for me is exciting. But we have to get learners a lot more confident and competent to perform quite well in gateway subjects.
Sivuyo Kahube, the Minister of Basic Education, thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you very much.
702.
WhatsApp Clement
On 072
702
1702.
25 after 10, let's go to your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Hey, morning, Clems. My advice is to the class of 2025 when studying. Study something that makes you money. You don't have to be passionate about it. And then, because bottom line, Clement, let's be honest, everybody hates their jobs. 99% of people hate their jobs. So rather hate your job and you're making good money. And if you want to be a rapper or an artist or content creator, you'll do that in your spare time while you're living in the burbs in a gated community with an X5 parked outside, opposed to doing something that you're passionate about and you can't find a job, you're living in the rural areas or in a shack. Following your passion is all good and dandy, but passion does not pay the bills. Cooks from Devland.
Yeah, Cooks. And I think that's a fair point to make. Maybe as a friend just sent me a message, maybe I am leaning too much on passion, and maybe there is a few of us who discover that passion early in life. Maybe the focus then needs to be on you being employable, because that's also the tough balancing act, right? Do you want to go for your passion, but it doesn't really pay you as well as you want? Or do you want to be doing something, maybe a job or a career you've never dreamed of, that you don't really like, but it pays the bills and you still have an opportunity to follow that passion on the other side? Yeah? But also, living in a country like ours, the most important thing, the priority is to be employable, right?
Good morning, 702 family and the viewers. This is Anonymous. I have 4 kids. I advised them to do the courses they're doing, the degrees, the diplomas they did, and they are happy and they enjoy them. It's just unfortunate that 2 of them couldn't finish because they were disturbed by NSFAS after COVID, and I'm not employed. Yeah, but yeah, parents must be involved. Thank you.
Hi, Clement. I'm happy to hear you interviewing the Basic Education Minister. She's done an amazing job. But I still cannot understand why children who only get 30% are still doing that. The pass rate should be higher, surely. The pass rate of 30% is really not going to help those children very well. My name is Robin and I'm from Centurion.
Thank you, Robin. I've done a listener's choice on this. I've done a lot of conversations about this because I think there is a misunderstanding when we talk about the pass rate. I know people like Musi Maimani want to create an impression that your average can be 30%. That's not the case. It's not true that anyone who's in matric right now, if their average, if you calculate all their marks, the average is 30%, then that's the pass rate. That's not the case. It's also not true that every subject in matric you can pass it by 30%. It's not. So what I'll maybe do is please just get someone to Google the podcast we've done, like about a pass rate, where I spoke to experts to help people understand what the differences are. Because I think the politicians end up using this for political reasons and they end up misleading the public. I'm not saying that I support the idea that some of these subjects, like life orientation or one additional language or whatever, you can pass it with a 30% average. I'm not saying that's fine. I'm just saying We need to change what has been misleading for the longest time, that politicians use it, trying to create an impression that, do whatever, and at the end of the day, as long as you've got a 30% average, and then you have passed. That is not the case, and that has never been the case. It's 10:30. So hi.
Thanks, Clements. Good morning. Thousands of matriculants are celebrating the end of their school years with a record-breaking 88% pass rate. More than 900,000 candidates were registered for the National Senior Certificate exams. Basic Education Minister Siviwe Kwagube announced their results last night. Limpopo emergency services are on high alert as some parts of the province have been flooded after heavy rains. Rivers are overflowing in Limpopo's Vemba district, trapping scores of people and leaving roads and bridges damaged. And German Chancellor Friedrich Merz says Iran's regime is living out its last days as pressure grows on the Islamic Republic over protests that have reportedly killed hundreds of people. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, we still have bumper traffic. This is in the Edenvale area heading towards Bedford View. R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange in Hermanstad, Pretoria. Slow-moving traffic on Eskiam Pahlele. This is between Van der Hof and the R80. There's a faulty traffic light still. 4 ways at Witkoppen and Leslie. Traffic lights also out of order. This is in Midrand at Olifantsfontein Road and the N1. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Setting the future course, what happens after this young matriculant gets their results.
Results often reflects the performance at any specific time, but not a person's intelligence, their value or their true potential. And when learners see their results as information rather than identity, they regain their agency.
Pranita Jadio, the head of the South African College of Applied Psychology.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Mzansi, 156 million rand. This Tuesday, Powerball has exploded to a breathtaking 156 million rand jackpot, one of the biggest jackpots ever. Don't delay. Play Powerball today and you could win a jackpot to remember. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda Push-Up Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
This festive, turn your family meetings into family eatings with the Nando's Festive Fill-Up Meal. A full flame grilled chicken, 2 sharing sides, 4 cheesy rissoles, 2 Cabo Societies, 2 Nando's rolls, and a 1.5-liter Coca-Cola for only $3.99 to enjoy at your place. And if your family meeting is at our place, get 40 Rand off. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without MyWay's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
LLB graduates can fast-track their legal career with the Law Society of South Africa's PVT School for Legal Practice. LPC accredited, this 4-month practice-ready course, which is taught by practicing lawyers, can reduce your PVT contract by 12 months for admission. Study by day, after hours, or via distance at campuses nationwide. The first 2026 intake runs from January to April. Applications close 31 October 2025. Apply now at lssalead.org.za. That's lssalead.org.za.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
Did anything change in Iran? Did opposition figures get any kind of foothold in the country, either by way of positions or any kind of change in the law? Or did things pretty much go back to the way they were after those 2 rounds of protests on the streets.
The difference today, there are large shades of 1979 than the protests that took place in recent memory. Those ones, it was about rights and so forth. And then you had the government ease a bit and able to relax a bit, but then go back.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here. Clement is on X.
At The Real Clement M.
It's 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. What we want to do now, before we get to 11 o'clock, where we start looking at our World of Work feature, is to look at options that are available for the class of 2025, whether you've passed or you've failed. And of course, there is concern because the people who qualify to go to university and the number of spaces that are available across universities and TVET colleges for first-time entering students don't match up. And that then provides and presents quite a difficult situation for the Department of Higher Education. So we've invited Sam Zungu, who's the Deputy Director General at the Department of Higher Education, joining us on the line. Mr. Zungu, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to our listeners, and thank you for inviting us.
Let's start with maybe the issue of capacity at the institutions of higher learning. My understanding is that over 656,000 learners passed matric, and then over 345,000 of them or so qualify for university admission. But the challenge is that there is around less than 200,000 spaces, if I'm not mistaken, across universities and TVET colleges for first-time entering students. That is presenting a challenge because that means there are thousands other children who qualify to go to these institutions of higher learning who are just not going to get the opportunity.
Indeed, Clement, I think firstly, let me congratulate the class of 2025. As well as the Department of Basic Education for this marvelous achievement. It shows that our education system indeed is maturing. But as you say, are we ready on the side of the Department of Education and Training to welcome all of those young people that have done so much well in their studies, and now they are ready to come to education and training? Indeed, I think because our system has been dependent in the main on the brick and the mortar, which is the classroom space or lecturers or lecture rooms and so forth, which is a limitation at this point in time, as you put it. However, what we are doing and we've been planning as a Department of Education and Training is to see other ways or means of delivery in terms of our curriculum, teaching and learning, to say we are encouraging our institutions, universities, TVET colleges, CET colleges to look at online platforms, for instance, as an option for some of the programs that do not really require that the students be in classroom per se. And as such, I think there is now some investment that we are driving towards the digitalization of the Department of Education and Training. Of course, it's a process. It's not something that we're going to overcome in this current year or so.
Okay. What are we doing, or what is the department doing, Mr. Zungu, about TVET colleges? Because, my goodness, the way they look is not impressive at all. There are buildings that are dilapidated. Just the system there is just not picking up, even from an administration perspective. And this is something I've experienced myself in recent weeks. What are you doing to try and capacitate and rebuild these TVET colleges? Because they have been at some point just a center for just producing skills, and now they're not looking good at all.
Yeah, Clement, I think maybe it's just a general statement because I can safely say that there are colleges that have done exceptionally well, we have developed what is called the maturity model for each one of the colleges to assess their state of readiness going forward. One of the things, or major reforms that we have embarked on as the Department of Education and Training, which our minister has been very instrumental, is around the curriculum transformation. As you are aware that colleges for many years they've been offering what is called the NATED N1 to N6 programs, which industry has complained and society as well that they are outdated. So we are phasing those programs out. That's the first thing, to ensure that the curriculum is both responsive and relevant to the needs of industry and society. So that's one area that we are doing. But as we do that, you will know that we will then have to address issues of how these programs are then delivered, from the infrastructure, from the issue of the staff capacity building, whether they are ready or not. But I can say in the past 5 years or so, the department has invested heavily. We have built over 12 or if not 14 new TVET campuses, state-of-the-art campuses, which I'm willing to invite you to have a look. I don't know which colleges have you been visiting, but we have also committed through what is called the College Efficiency Grant or Infrastructure Grant, the CIG, where we are refurbishing the existing infrastructure. You will also have to acknowledge the fact that there has been, since the past 30 years, has been a strong focus on building and strengthening universities, and somehow the investment in TVET colleges was not that much, adequate to be able to address some of the infrastructure deficiencies that we've already alluded to. But the department's focus now, and government as a whole, is now focusing on TVET colleges. So we have allocated the CIG, which is an infrastructure grant, to build and refurbish existing infrastructure. But we also have support that we are receiving, either through SITAs and other private donors, to address issues of infrastructure, physical infrastructure, as well as the ICT infrastructure in these TVET colleges, because as we'll be offering the new occupational programs that are aligned to industry, there will be a need for investment also in the ICT infrastructure. So there's been quite some steps that the department has actually embarked on to address some of those issues. And as you've said, our projections for 2030, we were, in terms of the National Development Plan, we were hoping that we would reach a capacity of 2.5 million young people in TVET colleges. But because of that, some of these challenges that we've seen, the government fiscals that are not actually also allowing us to expand the sector, we've been having those teething programs. But I think the government is now much more committed in making sure that we grow the focus on TVET colleges.
Yeah, and of course, NSFAS is another great concern. You know the context of this country, Mr. Zungu. There are many, in fact, thousands of students who are coming from poor backgrounds. Their families are not able to take them through higher learning institutions. The challenge, though, is NSFAS just doesn't have the capacity to take all these kids who even qualify to go to these higher institutions of higher learning. So what's the plan there? How much capacity does NSFAS have now?
Yeah, I agree with you. There's been some challenges at NSFAS. We cannot deny that. And NSFAS being one of the very most strategic, entities of the Department of Education and Training and the government as a whole, because it addresses, some of the historical issues. As you know, most of our young people, particularly the blacks, have not been having access to education. And this is one entity that has actually assisted millions of young people to gain education. Some of us are products of that entity. Indeed, the minister has actually, put some, measures in place, and one of them was to ensure that we have a board at the governance level. And as you speak right now, because the entity was put at administration, So coming out of administration is also to make sure that we have the senior executives that are appointed. So we are busy with those processes. But over and above that, we are also trying to address, because I think most of the issues has been around the management information systems that are not really integrated with the department, with the institutions themselves, so that as we speak now, some of the young people will be applying and the data is not probably routed and processed timelessly because of the inefficiencies or deficiencies within the system. So one of the major areas which the department is also investing on is ensuring that NSFAS has a proper management information system so that data integrity is ensured at all given point in time. Indeed, there has been some frustrations also in the past in terms of addressing the student queries timelessly. The Honorable Minister, Honorable Manyathela, has established what is called a war room, which is managed from his office that meets almost once a week, if I'm not mistaken, or to address some of the urgent matters that might be frustrating students that are making applications. So we are working on that, and it's a system that is growing, and we hope that we'll be able at some point address all of those challenges that the public has encountered at NSFAS.
Okay, but as it stands now, like, do you have, because there are many people that have applied for NSFAS, and yes, not all of them are going to be accepted, even though they may qualify to receive that assistance, but NSFAS doesn't have the budget to get everybody in. Are you having conversations with universities to allow these learners to at least register?
Indeed, we are having conversations with the institutions, universities, TVET colleges, but also looking at how can we mobilize additional resources outside of the state that we are allocating. For instance, the contribution that is made by some of our entities, the CETAs, the NSF, but also the private sector in ensuring that indeed NSFAS is able to meet this mandate. So there are current discussions that are happening with the institutions to ensure that young people that qualify and have met all the eligibility criteria are indeed given an opportunity to enroll. So there are ongoing discussions, both with student leadership, but also with the leaders of those respective institutions.
Sam Zungu, thank you so much for speaking to us. He's the Deputy Director General at the Department of Higher Education and Training. It's 12 minutes before 11.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
Let's bring in Ari Katz now, who is the CEO at Boston City Campus, joining us on the line because matric results season, let's be honest, it can be an emotional time, right? You've got learners, some of them who think that this is an important moment of celebration. But if your matric results were not what you were hoping for, it is understandable if this moment feels confusing, perhaps disappointing or overwhelming for you. You know, after 12 years of schooling, the big question suddenly becomes, what now? Is it university? Is it a college? Do I rewrite? Maybe do I take a gap year? Do I go work somewhere, get some experience? But the truth is, life after matric is not a straight line, and success doesn't really come from one single pathway. There are a multitude of legitimate routes forward, and many successful careers are actually built through detours, second chances and alternative options. So how do you prepare for life after matric? Ari Katz, thank you so much for making time for us and joining us for this important conversation, because as we celebrate, we must also remember that there are others that have not done well who are trying to figure out what their options are. Thank you for making time for us. Good morning.
Morning, Clement, and good morning to your listeners.
So these matric results often feel like sort of like a final verdict on a young person's future, doesn't it? Why is it so important to remind learners that their results are not the end of the road?
So, Clement, firstly, let me start by congratulating the matric class of 2025, as well as all the educators who worked so tirelessly and so hard to actually get these students to where they are. But I think it's important to actually understand that a matric certificate is what I call a multi-level passport with many destinations. And as you said, matric is not the be-all and end-all. And we live in a world where there are a multitude of opportunities, and particularly with the implementation of AI and the e-learning and the e-commerce world, the whole world has actually opened up to us. And matric is definitely not the be-all and end-all. It is definitely a step in the right direction. There's no question about that, and I don't want to take away from that. But there are a multitude of opportunities available to learners, whether they did well in matric or whether they didn't do well in matric. There are still a number of opportunities. And even if they didn't do well, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it is not. So for matriculants who've just received their results, what steps do you take from here? What do you do? Because I'm asking that because I do think sometimes it's important for learners to pause, try gather information, and avoid making rushed decisions during this period.
No, absolutely. So the reality is that it's a loaded question that you ask, and we could talk for hours on it. But let's try and maybe wrap up some of the succinct issues. So first of all, let's talk about study and why is it important to study? Let's just first talk about that. And I think one of the big barometers for that is if we look at the unemployment rates in South Africa. So we know that those who don't have a matric, over 50% are unemployed. Those with a matric, 38% are unemployed. Whereas those with a tertiary qualification, just under 10% of those are unemployed. So clearly the numbers don't lie. If one studies, there's obviously a greater opportunity to gain employment. So that's one aspect to think about. But I think what's also important is to develop, particularly as we will move into the world of AI, not just formal studies, but one also needs to develop cognitive thinking skills. So critical thinking, etc. And in fact, there's a big move these days for cognitive development. We're using a program called Cogni Enhance to foster critical thinking and cognitive development. And it's been proven, actually, there's a huge amount of research that shows that your opportunities for employment are much higher if you've developed cognitive thinking, things like attention, memory, executive functioning, etc. So studies is the one side, but even without studies, it's important to develop cognitive thinking. So that's one important aspect. Let's talk about studying, and I heard you ask your previous guest about the limited opportunities in the public sector. I think what's important to also understand is that today approximately 30% of students or learners in higher education are actually in the private sector. And the reason for that is, number one, access is a lot easier, and also distribution. You might find a center closer to where you live. We know that students spend a huge amount of money on traveling, on accommodation, etc. So studying at a place that's closer to your home may also be a huge advantage. And that's another reason people choose private higher education as opposed to public. Then he mentioned also about online as an alternative form of learning. And that certainly has also opened the gateway. Now, that is whether you got a matric university or not. There are that you could study in the online mode. So that allows you also to work and study at the same time or be a full-time student. So as you can hear, there are many different opportunities available out there for learners. And lastly, let me just say this. If your matric certificate wasn't what you expected, so for example, you were expecting a bachelor pass and you never got a bachelor pass, don't be despaired, because today there are multiple pathways that take you through different gateways, from gateway programs to higher certificates to diplomas, each of which allow you to navigate one step at a time. So if you didn't get a bachelor's and, for example, you got a higher certificate, you could do that first, then move to a diploma, then to a degree. So there are multiple pathways, and I think the most important issue is to get career advice. That is really the most important issue, and there's a huge amount available on the internet, or one can use programs like Career Compass, where you can do career exploration, and you can find out what are the careers out there, how do I access these careers, what are the skills that I need, what kind of work will I do in the future, and if I've chosen the wrong pathway, how do I migrate to something else?
And I mean, there's also this stigma attached to rewriting matric, right? Or repeating grade 12. Because for some reason, like, second chances are not being framed as strategic opportunities. They're being framed as failure. That's what contributes to that stigma.
So I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, the reality is that today you don't necessarily need to rewrite matric to get into the faculty you want to. As I outlined previously, there are multiple pathways to achieve a particular goal. But if you are going to rewrite, there are a number of things to think about. So, for example, if you're only doing specific subjects, what am I going to do with the balance of the time that I've got available? So in other words, if I'm only rewriting, let's say, math or English, what am I going to do in the rest of the time? And my advice would be to that particular student would be to register simultaneously for a program, a short skills program, a gateway program, a cognitive development program. I really believe in this cognitive development as the future for students in encountering the world of AI. Or alternatively, if you failed matric and you don't want to repeat the entire story, maybe you should re-look at alternative matric pathways. For example, the GED, where you write one subject at a time and you only have to focus on 4 subjects. So there are a myriad of options out there. And as I said, the most important thing is to get career advice because, one cannot do justice to it in a 5 or 10 minute discussion as to what are the myriad of opportunities that are out there.
Well, and the value, just remind our listeners also about the value of TVET colleges, even diplomas and certificates in today's job market. Because some people, as you've indicated, feel like, oh, this is the end of the road just because now I have to go and study at this, campus or this college, or now I have to I've got a diploma but I wanted a bachelor, or I've got a certificate and what do I do with the certificate?
So as I said, I mean, there's certainly a place for occupational qualifications and occupational certificates and getting gainful employment thereafter. But one can go to a private higher education institution and do a higher certificate or a diploma or a degree or even a postgrad, whatever one wants to do. So one should look at that as an alternative pathway. And it doesn't mean because you're studying a higher certificate that it's any less, that you're achieving less than somebody who's studying for a bachelor's degree. You might have decided that you specifically want to do a higher certificate in order to gain exposure to a particular area or particular discipline to understand whether this is the area that I want to embark on for my future career, as opposed to committing to a 3 or 4 year qualification. I might take off a year, higher certificate in paralegal studies, for example, or whatever it may be. So, and really just to gain an idea of what law is all about before I make the big commitment into the particular degree or a lifelong career in it. But just to come back to your students who possibly didn't do well enough to actually get directly in, there are also gateway programs. So we've got a gateway program, for example, that focuses on cognitive development as a pathway into higher education. And I think cognitive development in the future world of AI will become far more important and future thinking. And I know there are trends overseas where cognitive development has become such a key focus of education, both at a secondary and at a tertiary level, so that AI doesn't actually take over our jobs.
Like Ari Katz, thank you. Thank you for this discussion. Thank you for making time. He's the CEO of Boston City Campus.
This message is brought to you by Eskom, redefining for a better future.
Are you running a business? Every rand counts. Save electricity and cut costs by switching off lights, computers, and aircons after hours. Use energy-efficient lighting and equipment and make saving electricity part of your daily routine. Smart energy habits mean lower bills and greener business future. Let's power success efficiently.
Let's use electricity wisely. Eskom.
A man driven to the edge. I don't know where you are. I don't know who you're with. When his beloved takeaway was taken away. I will look for you. I will find you. and I will eat you.
It's the summer of stars at Simply Asia. Stand a chance to win a Toyota Starlet when you spend 200 Rand or more on our famous flavors. Order now. Simply Asia. Connecting the Thai way.
This is Kyle's mom, entertaining the guests.
My son and I have been taking some dancing lessons. Watch and this. A 1 and a 2. Oopsies.
And this is Kyle's mom with 2 months free YouTube Premium, plus 5 gigs free YouTube data, plus 30 gigs once off.
It's showtime! With ad-free YouTube Premium. Kyle, hand out the logins, my boy. You get a password. You get
Extra
a password.
your summer with the Vodacom Red Plan and get extra Red rewards plus benefits on the VodaPay app when you sign up or upgrade, online and in store. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Both parties aren't speaking. It was a simple statement. From what we know, from what we understand of the industry, does this merger make sense?
I mean, the market has sort of rewarded the prospects to Glencore, so 7% up, whereas Rio Tinto is 6% down. This is a bit complicated, and there are a lot of complications in combining these two companies.
David Mackay, the editor at Mining MA.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Invested in your story because your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I am Sfiso Zulu. A school on the East Rand is eagerly awaiting to see if it will maintain its record for the best mathematics results in all Ekurhuleni districts. Sunward Park High School has obtained the highest mathematics pass rate for 3 consecutive years. Out of 164 matriculants who wrote the subject at the school, 9 obtained distinctions. The head of the department says the secret is to producing the best maths results in the metro is by completing the syllabus by 2 terms. Meanwhile, the Basic Education Department says only 34% of the class of 2025 wrote mathematics, with most choosing mathematical literacy. This is being described as a worrying sign, as mathematics is a key gateway subject for further study. Minister Sivio Kwahube is encouraged, though, by the slight increase in enrollments for mathematics, accounting, physical science and other technical subjects, calling it a turning tide.
We're encouraged by the enrollment increases in mathematics and other gateway subjects such as accounting and physical science and other technical subjects. However, we would like to see the performance matching that enrollment. So, in other words, the system is growing but not fast enough in the subjects that most powerfully shape access to further study in scarce skills and economic participation. And we as a department are dedicated to making sure that this improves and improves dramatically.
Limpopo emergency services are on high alert as some parts of the province have been flooded after heavy rains. Rivers are overflowing in Limpopo's Vembe district, trapping scores of people and leaving roads and bridges damaged. Mongezi Koko reports.
Continuous rainfall has made it difficult for officials to access some communities, with several areas completely surrounded by water. Authorities say damage assessments are still underway as roads and bridges remain closed. The South African Weather Service has issued orange level 6 and level 9 warnings for parts of the province with an increased risk to life in low-lying and flood-prone areas. Forecaster Amukela Nimkari.
Communities are urged they should also re-evaluate their outdoor activities and also follow instructions from local authorities.
The situation remains extremely dangerous, with potential for drownings, home or livestock to be swept away and conditions to worsen if rains continue. Monkey Ziko Ko, Eyewitness News.
And German Chancellor Friedrich Merz says Iran's regime is living out its last days as pressure grows on the Islamic Republic over protests that have reportedly killed hundreds of people. The protests, sparked by the country's economic decline more than 2 weeks ago, have turned into demonstrations against the theocratic system in the country. As authorities crack down on protests in Iran, the German Chancellor says when a regime can only hold on to power through violence, then it is effectively finished. Gold is trading at $4,616.26 an ounce. The rand is at 16.42 to the dollar, 22.11 to the pound, 19.15 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.30 a barrel.
Slow-moving traffic in Hermanstad, that's leaving the Pretoria CBD on Eskiamphahlele between Van der Hof and the R80. Traffic lights still not working 4 ways at Witkoppen and Leslie, as well as Main and Witkoppen.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with isolated showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 25 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. A school on the East Rand is eagerly waiting to see if it will maintain its record for the best performing mathematics results in all of Ekurhuleni districts.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome. This is the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us. Time now for our World of Work feature.
702.
World of Work.
So we're discussing career goals on our World of Work feature this morning. Why is it important for you to set goals in your career? So we're exploring the power of setting those goals, whether you're looking to level up your skills, or maybe you want to land your dream job, maybe you want that promotion this year, or you simply want to stay motivated. So we're going to unpack how setting those clear goals can make a difference in your career. And I want to know if that has worked for you as well in the past. So have you set your own goals in the past in your career, and how has that benefited you? I'd like you to share your experiences with us on 011-883-0702. That's the number to dial. You can send us your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. Do you believe in setting career goals, and do you do that like quarterly? Do you do that biannually? Is it something you do as you get into the new year? How does it work for you? Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. Nicholas Tipe, also known as Dr. Tipe, is the Chief of Staff at Net99 and Evotel. He's also a business and community leader, joining us in studio to have this conversation with us. Thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Tobela.
Lekai.
Awa, kabele kwele.
Ka December.
Awa.
Le jile ke Johannesburg.
No, ne ke le Msawawa. Mo modimo dula nteng Soweto.
I see.
Yes,
Thank
my
you.
brother.
Thank you for making time for us, man. Why is it so important for us to set career goals?
Firstly, I think let's congratulate the matriculants. Reboni, the historical one, Bashapaka 0.7% to take us to 88 compared to last year. So we congratulate the class of 2025. It is a parliament to very, very important to set up a goals. As Tipe, myself, growing up in Soweto, I've always said at this age, at this time, I mean, the rest is history with what I've achieved into the business. But I think in Elon and Hore, I've always been believing that I set up and I check the do and the don'ts. So that for me pulled out and make it work. And it's something that speaks to me as a mirror, but you don't do it in the year. You do it before. So normally you'll be like 2025, 2026, in 2025, I already see 2026. And I start to do the projection in my terms. And that I feel it's something that make one to be where it is.
I see. So
yes.
How does setting up these goals help with job satisfaction and motivation? From your experience and what you've observed, do you find that you are more motivated, you are more satisfied with your job when you know where you're trying to get to?
There will never be an issue between satisfaction. I think there will be an issue, am I settling in that? Because there's always one where you want to also take other thing to another level. Growing up in Soweto, raised by a single parent, and me was always been the issue, I want to see myself one day running a big institution and making a point in ICT. And trust me, it was not an easy way because of now you need to lose certain friends. You also need to lose certain family members because of how we know when you grow up in township, how the class is. But my view has always been passionate that if there is these buildings in sentence, who's occupying them, that we cannot partake in that. And that makes me self-driven. And today, being in Net9 and CM Evotel as an ICT ISP that is growing and looking at stuff that we have roll out across the provinces, shaping the people's life, changing, transforming. It tells the story that those who lead the institution, the vision bearers, we always come up with what is it that we can improve better from last year. So I think that has been that main particular thing.
So what's the best thing to do then for people who want to set these kind of goals? Do you do that quarterly? Does it work better when you do that yearly, or can you have differences in the goals and say in the short term this is what I want, in the long term this is what I want?
Like my belief, it has always been you make your vision big and then you see it, you pursue it, but you always look at how the football runs. There is a first leg, there's a second leg, and now you start to do. My motto has been quarterly, that between Feb and April, what is it that has worked, like the schools, how they run in terms. And am I still aligned in my vision? Am I focusing, or am I having everything in one plate? And then I had to check that what made me to lose that particular opportunity that has been there. For example, other kids will be not going to school because of bursaries, because of NSFAS, because of all the blockages that we have. What is it that is a plan B that drives me to another thing? Same with business. Scaling up is to say, okay, this could not work last year. I could not meet my targets. What do I do? And it's what we've been doing consistently. That main thing is focus and make your thing in 90-day plan. And just worked in 3 months and say, am I shaping in the right direction? And as we see ourselves growing as an entity, it is something that I've absorbed and adopting as my lifestyle. And I've applied it everywhere I go.
Is it best to share your goals with your manager, your employer, or is it something that you worked on individually? Or should you be aligned with your place of employment so they know where you're trying to get to?
Our vision collectively with Albert, we always believe that the vision should be feasible. Those that you lead, they should be aligned in what the company objective and what we are driving in. Same with me as an individual. It is very important that sharing, it's very important. I might not know what Clement can bring on board. Can be something that we'll find out that we are seeing something that maybe can happen in a 6 months versus 3 months. So you always have to align with everyone, and everyone must wake up knowing that what is it that motivates me? Where am I working? Is it something that, you know what, even if the salary doesn't meet my needs, but I'm in love with the vision. Is the vision aligned? And once that thing, I always say this way, Brad Clement, that 2 visions cause a division. And if the vision is not there, then automatically there's many voices. Then there's a dissatisfaction. Then that's where people now start to lose their momentum. So most of them all is that make the vision feasible. Those that they throw into it, they are aligned into it, they meditate it, they live it, they drink it, they smell it. And it makes everyone now to be part of it. And when we excel, it's like, wow, we made it as 702 colleagues, as Prime Media, as everyone played their role. But once I make it my thing, then it de-attach those that I need to lead. So same applies with the career, that as we in a year, I believe that you don't do the resolutions or setting up the momentum in the year. You do it post before that year and say, what is it that I'm looking for 2027 while you're in 2026? And that makes you to be aligned.
What if though you're not aligned with whether as an employer yourself with your partners, if that's your vision, or maybe you still have a manager or you've got a big boss.
Yes.
And you want to get to a particular point by June or by the end of the year, but that's not where they've got capacity for you. What do you do then? Do you change your goals or do you consider moving somewhere different?
My belief, you would never change what you are actually seeing or pursuing yourself in because of the state of the art of an environment. That cannot convert and try to pull you out from, for example, I will never change that I'm an African, irrespective of where I'm deployed, irrespective of where I am. I will forever remain, the Africanism is in me. But where you feel that you are, there are those people that are the ghost. There are those people that believe in pulling other people down because of their position, and we call it an ego. And ego is the most enemy thing. But their egos should not move away from who you are. It goes with the culture of the environment. And if the culture of environment is not meeting your thing, you rather not have a depression and call yourself many sicknesses of company will still exist with or without Clement. 702 will still be there. With or without Tipe, Eve Hotel, Sync, and Net99 will still remain there. But the main thing is that I must be in a point where I'm peaceful and I'm able to give it all. Because if the energy is lost, then what is it in for that? So that gone are those days where as long as we are surviving, because of that is where we are losing it. And that is where now you start to be a problem in an institution because of you're not aligned with that.
Yeah. 16 minutes after 11 o'clock, we're talking about the importance of setting goals in your career. Have you set goals before? And how do you go about doing that? Do you set them more quarterly? Is it more annually? What do you do when you start the year or when you're about to begin a new career? Are you a type of person that says, at this period, I want to be able to achieve 1, 2, 3? And what is it that actually helps you in making sure that you get to achieve those goals? Share your experiences with us. You can call us on 011-883-0702 or send a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702, 16 after 11.
We at Monument Dental are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium when you switch? For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance business insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
There's crossing a river, and then there's crossing a river in your Ford Everest. With up to 6 selectable drive modes, it's not a challenge. It's a flex. That's peak living in the Ford Everest from only $12,099 per month with zero deposit required when financed through Ford Credit, a registered financial services and credit provider. Includes our Ford Family Promise, where you receive free 4x4 training, 6.6% interest rate, 40% residual. Visit your nearest Ford dealer today. T&Cs apply.
For the best game viewing, you go to Mpumalanga. For the best whale watching, you go to Hermanus. And for the best in investments, go to Nedbank. Earn up to 7.6% interest with a Nedbank Just Invest account and access your funds within 24 hours. For better returns, go with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702.
World of Work.
19 minutes after 11 o'clock, we're talking about career goals. Do you set career goals, and how do you go about doing that? What's the kind of approach that you take? I've got some questions coming through. Someone is asking about the role of mentorship, Nicholas, or coaching. What role does that play in achieving the career goals? Because someone says that one of the things that has helped them is because they had someone who was motivating them and mentoring them and coaching them.
I believe in mentorship in that Manyathela. I've seen that Clement, that you will never make it. There's no a country that can survive on its own. An association goes with what I've said before, that with us, a phenomenal team that we have many people in NX that has so many different skills. So definitely mentorship, it also guides that I'm in line, and you are able to look into something that how did they, and then you are able to follow. Not really following directly, but there's a leak. There's something that leads you into that path that you want to be into.
Mm-hmm. So how do you go about getting a mentor or a coach?
Yeah, it was a very difficult one, honestly, to be with. And
you just shoot your shot on LinkedIn or get someone's number or email?
And you laugh what I'm going to say to you, right? Like I said, growing up in Kasi, in Soweto, I always look at people like Ntate Maponya. And I was a young man, and it was like, hey man, Ntate Maponya from the bicycle selling a milk and the role that he played. And me also, it was that thing, that ambitious thing. And meeting Albert, as I always say to every interviews I've done, it was one of the turnaround thing that you meet somebody who both of you are directing or maybe have one vision. And the vision is to see people being raised and people being into their life, being successful. One of the greatest in my life is that I want to be a leader that produces. And that also have worked for me, and has worked in an institution where we are, that we always seen people coming up and rising and become better place than we thought before. So mentorship, I strongly believe it. Sometimes I've never met Ntate Maponya, unfortunately, but the footstep that I've seen have made me the footprint and make me to follow and be like, okay. And that for me personally has made it that, okay, it's doable. It's the matter of positioning. It's the matter of where my at that particular moment affiliated to. So sometimes it might be not having a direct relation with an individual. I can tell you, Clement, that there are so many people that they don't have a direct access to you, but through listening to your show and making sure that whether it's on TV or on radio, there's so many that we inspire and make it a point that how does it balance without having your thing. And then there's a seed that you've planted. Sometimes it's not a direct one. It can be an indirect mentorship and make it work for you. So I've seen it working, and I still believe in that, and it's still doable.
I'm glad you mentioned indirect mentorship, because when we talk about mentorship and coaching, we think you need to every week sit down with someone and have a conversation. But sometimes it's reading their books.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's listening to podcasts.
Absolutely.
Their conversations and how they have maneuvered and moved around certain challenges. So I'm glad you mentioned that indirect coaching or indirect mentorship, because that's so important. So how can career goals help with work-life balance or pursuing even your personal interests? Because sometimes when we have career goals, we want to achieve them no matter what, and you end up not having even a personal life. Now your work becomes your identity.
And that is where the danger comes. And that's where the fatigue and anger of life comes from. Working so hard to have those mentions, and the house is empty. There's loneliness because of then there's no grandchildren. There's no one that speaks to you. There's no love life. What is important, it's your self-discovery is important, and the timing of everything has a place. And my view is you have to working in an organization that's so demanding of an ICT. I'm always on the road. It then goes with the balancing a direct partner. It's also balancing the lifestyle. You need to have life after all. You are not an AI after all. So you're a human being. And like I said, projection plan, that's where it comes in to be like, term 1, this is my primary focus. Term 2, then you start to balance your things. But if you make it aggressive and you make it straight up, then there is no way you can balance, because everything starts to demand you. And what happens now is we want machankuri, you want money, and then you focus on that. Then you have those things that you've been looking for, all those big cars that you've been looking for, but there's a vow that is the vacuum in you. Your kids, they only know the ATM dead, they don't know the love. Your wife or your spouse, your partner, they just see a mirror person in pictures. So there's that vacuum in you. That's where the anger, mental things start to happen. So there's no way. What is important is the priorities, and the family is the foundation of everything. And once you have the family support, then you start to work on the guys. Now it is my time. It's this time that I need to breastfeed them and feed them and analyze. As schools are opening tomorrow, it's my time. I need to be there, take my kids for their first day to school. So it goes with the balancing. One will suffer, and that will be you'll have millions, but you will be a very bitter person for the rest of your life.
Yeah. So while you plan those career goals, also plan your life goals.
Life goals.
Because career is but part of your life.
It is.
And there are other aspects that are also important. Tsepo wants to know, says, hi Clement, thanks for this chat. I want to know, how do you balance then the individual goals with the company objectives, and what if me and the company are not aligned? How do we balance that?
It goes with is the health environment, is the power of the company. We as Net9, we believe in the healthy organization that is open. Policies are very important. And if any institution is not opening into that, then we'll have people suffering internally because I call it internal bleeding. So you bleed inside, we don't even see that, and it creates a lot of clots. So any institution should have that where I am able to analyze and be without having a position. Hierarchy, yeah, people abuse power, but my view is you are there where you are because of some people are playing a part. So if the company is not in line with what I am objective of and what I'm vowing to be, I would advise people that if it does not serve your thing, let it go. Because that's when now you're going to have a problem, be frustrated. And a wounded buffalo is very dangerous. So now we are not able to detect, we are dealing with the symptoms, we are not able to know where this virus come from. So those are very, very important things. Even in a marriage, even in a love life, even in everything, you are able, if in a relationship you are unable to have a voice, to talk, to confront things, to die inside, then you are a ghost in that relation. Same with work. So we are having a ghost stuff. You think that people are happy. People are just living for petty cash of the 25th. They're not here. Their mindset is not here. Then it creates companies not reaching targets. Then everyone wants to work, but must create an environment where everyone is happy to come because of there's a health environment. There's an open policy. And with us, I believe we've done it well as an institution that everyone is part of the cake. Everyone is part of the decision making. Basically, we made executive to be the one that is led by the staff because of that. The ones that knows, where it's needed where most, and promoting them without an issue of you've been here for how many years. If you come in and you plug into the vision, you are part of us and let's work together. And that's the belief of a successful or a great leader that believes that you're a leader by the leaders. That's my view.
Yeah, Motale Tale on Twitter also says, Clement, thanks for a great show on career goal setting. I can relate as someone who at the end of 2025 left a very high intensity job into a new space. I'm still making adjustments. To some extent, it feels like I am learning to walk again. It's an exciting period. That's really great.
Yeah,
It's, especially because you say you feel like you're learning to walk again. I can only imagine how exciting that is. And then John wanted to know about the importance of connections, because sometimes as you set these career goals, what's going to push you to the next level is making sure that you're having conversations with the right people, right? And sometimes we think it's a matter of, oh, I want a promotion and I'm just going to work hard. But what conversations are you having with your manager, with other people in the industry, so that you know what to expect as you prepare yourself for the next level?
We believe, Clement, that, like I said in opening, that there's no country can survive on its own. Connection is the most key, but also we have to be in a point where other people have suffered. I've worked in other like you said, tell us the story of the past and so on. I've worked in an environment where we know the system or how other people are hardworking, but because of they're not in a favorable of a certain managers, whatever, people are left there and we lose a potential talent, or others because of they have to sleep with whoever to get whatever. My point is the same way where the institution was built because of the dots were connected. Life is a puzzle. And one puzzle, if it's missed there, it's not a complete one. So the puzzle, I take it and I narrate it as a connectivity that connects. So dots to lead us where we want to be. So definitely, as an individual, you have to have those. That's what I'm saying. You have to poke your managers. You're a manager. You're not a dictator. You are there to drive me to what I want. Your job is to coach me to be where I need to be at. But once a manager starts to be in a point where he closes ranks for you, the environment already is bad. It's a toxic environment. And you'll be the one that raises alarm that whoever comes as a new employment, you create that negativity vibe. Then the whole department is gone. So managers are up there and are there to make sure that they connect to find out the staff that you lead. You don't only lead people for their productivity, but their well-being, their wellness, how they feel, how are they? And then then you are able to be in line with them and start to work together as a collective. That's my sentiment in that.
Absolutely. Nicholas, thank you so much for speaking to us, man.
Really
Really appreciate it.
Ke a leboha, Papa. Thakga kgoshi.
And for all of you that are maybe starting their careers or you're looking to make a career change and you are setting up these career goals, all the best. It's exactly 11:30. Maki has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. We begin in the south of Johannesburg, where frustrated parents are braving snaking queues for a second day today outside the Education Department's district offices in Meyersdal as a final attempt to get their children placed before the school year starts tomorrow. Parents are complaining about their children not being placed within a 30-kilometer radius. We move to the East Rand, where a school is eagerly waiting to see if it will maintain its record for the best mathematics results in all Ekurhuleni districts. Sunwood Park High School has obtained the highest mathematics pass rate for 3 consecutive years. Out of the 164 matriculants who wrote the subject at the school, 9 obtained distinctions. And the extension of the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, has received strong bipartisan support in the United States House of Representatives and has been passed for onward approval by the Senate. However, during brief debate on the bill, Democrats in the House warned that South Africa is not yet guaranteed continued duty-free access to the U.S. market. Republicans have also made it clear that extending AGOA is not only about trading with Africa, but is also intended to curtail influence from Russia and China on African markets, especially critical minerals. Those are the headlines, this Eyewitness News and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at the moment, we still have slow-moving traffic. That's in the Hermanstad area on Eskiamphahlele between Van der Hof and the R80. The rest of 702 land looking pretty good. Free-flowing traffic on our highways. No serious accidents have been reported. However, look out for those faulty traffic lights in Douglasdale at Douglas Drive and Leslie. Traffic lights still not working. Poles off at Witkoppen and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702.
Health and wellness.
28 minutes before 12 o'clock. It's time now for our health and wellness feature. And today, I want us to talk about detoxing because you know that this is that time of the year. Many of us have gone out to do a lot of things during December. We had a hectic festive season. You ate everything you could find on the table. You had so many lunch dates. It was really hectic for you. And now you are getting into a period where detoxing begins for you. This morning, in fact, when I went running, I saw so many people on the road, and I was saying to a friend, there are so many people running on the streets. It's a rare sight, Kabuma, April, May, June, July. But for some reason, every time, either in Jan, Feb, you see so many people on the road. Equally so in November and early December, I see a lot of people on the road. And sometimes when I have conversations with other runners, or people will tell you, I'm getting ready for my December body. I want to make sure that it's fine. Or someone who starts running a lot, or they go to gym, beginning of Jan, they tell you, I'm trying to fix the damage that I caused in December. So I want you to join me in this conversation about the various ways that you are detoxing. And I wonder if that is the right way to do it. And what kind of detoxing has actually worked for you as well, right? That's a conversation I want us to have. So please give me a call right now, or you can send me a WhatsApp voice note, 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's 072-702-1702. Have you tried detoxing? Is there a detoxing regime or approach that you've taken that has worked for you? Is there one that's never worked for you? Maybe you can warn other people against that. And what are you detoxing for? Like, if that's something you're getting into now, what are you detoxing for? Are you more worried about what happened during December? What are you preparing for? What are you trying to fix? Because detox diets are everywhere now, right? They're even flooding social media. They are promising quick fixes for weight loss. There is They have promising quick fixes for clearer skin, boundless energy, you name it. But the question is, do any of these deliver? But more importantly, are they even safe? So I want us to have a conversation with an expert who can help us separate fact from fiction and share a smarter way to support our body's natural detox system. So I'm hoping that we can dive into the science behind detoxes, explore the risks, and maybe highlight the simple, sustainable habits that can make a real difference for your health, from food to lifestyle tips. So share your thoughts with us on 011-883-0702 if you have tried detoxing before. Has it worked? Has it not? What has worked for you and what has not worked for you? And if you are detoxing now, what kind of detox are you doing and what's the reason for that? I'd like to hear from you. It's 25 minutes now before 12 o'clock.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Setting the future course, what happens after this young matriculant gets their results.
Results often reflects the performance at any specific time, but not a person's intelligence, their value or their true potential. And when learners see their results as information rather than identity, they regain their agency.
Pranitha Jadio, the head of the South African College of Applied Psychology.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
702
Health and Wellness.
All right, let's now bring in Winile Motswane, who is a biokineticist, and I'm going to take your calls and your WhatsApps as well. And if you've got questions as well around detoxing, please keep them coming. I'll get my guest here to respond to some of those. Winile, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's start with just your general thoughts around detox diets, because as you know, in January, a lot of people get into that. Are they a healthy way of resetting your body? Or does it depend on what kind of detox?
I think first we need to understand what detoxing is. So as we eat, as we drink, as we move around, we create, or the body somehow holds on to some toxins in our body. And the process where then you are removing those harmful substances in your body or the waste, that's when you are detoxing. But importantly, the body is meant and is made to do this on its own naturally. So, for instance, we have our livers, it just breaks down all the toxins. That's why when you find people that've been drinking a lot more alcohol, at the end of the day, it's the liver that suffers. So your alcohol, the medication that we take regularly, or any other chemicals, they go straight to the liver, and the liver is made to remove those toxins. And then you have your kidneys that will filter in extra stuff through the urine, where it feels like, okay, what else needs to be removed from here? So that's why you find most people, again, when they've been taking a lot of medication and other things, the two organs that suffer the most will be your liver and your kidney. But then you have your gut, where you go on to remove all the other waste that we know about, where you have your bowel movement, and then you remove those things, and then obviously your lungs and your skin. So we have a system that works already to remove the toxins that are created throughout our daily living.
Well, what are some of the risks, though, associated with detox plans? What should we be aware of before we start?
So now the problem is when we go and saying I'm detoxing, there are so many things that people are using trying to remove whatever they think is there. But what I've also noticed, people always confuse detoxing and weight loss, where they're thinking just because they are removing stuff on the system, it's also removing the fat. And detoxing literally just remove the fluids, and those fluids come out then with those substances. So you're asking what methods that people use that we need to be aware of, that could be harmful in what we do. Sometimes what we think we are using could destabilize the system and make the natural process of detoxing also stop. So there you are going on to take the things that you were told, or inject something in your system, or drink something in your system that might not work well with the natural order of how the body detoxes.
Okay, I see. Are there any other best ways, though, to support our body's natural detox system, that are more effective than these detox plans?
We always talk about lifestyle change. And if you are eating correctly, and eating correctly means, how they say your plate must have so much of carbohydrates, so much of protein, and so much of this. So if you eat enough or healthy enough, and you are taking your fluids enough to flush what is in the system, and you avoid alcohol and you avoid processed foods, your system functions properly. You don't even need to go out of your way to say, I'm going to detox.
Okay. Are there misconceptions, though, about detox plans? Because I think there are some biggest misconceptions out there. What would you say are some of the concerning ones?
People think once you are detoxing, then you are good to go. Like your system is very clean now. Maybe you are not going to have anything else that is going to mess up with your system. I think there was a story I read not long ago about somebody who decided, I'm going to detox, and that detox took way long. People do go on juicing, saying they're detoxing, and then you start starving your body, or you start going to a point where your system is not getting what it's supposed to get. While you're detoxing, you are not supposed to starve your body of the important nutrients that it still needs. So you have people going on your juice cleanses that you find that is very low on protein, and that then affects how you are using your muscles, or you start losing the muscles, and your blood sugar also gets to spike, because 1 minute you are not eating at all, and the next minute you are taking this juice that is also, it might be sugary, but it's just going to spike your sugar. So you kind of confuse your system, even though you are thinking you are trying to assist it by putting in or not eating as much as you should. But as much as we're telling people that you have to eat a certain way, it is also very important that you're eating right. While you are detoxing, make sure there is proper balance in what you are putting in. Others go to extreme fasting, saying they're detoxing, and we've had people fainting and others, unfortunately, losing their lives because of that. But that also, when you go onto the extreme fasting, you increase your cortisol, which is a stress hormone on your body. And the increase of that cortisol then makes you sit there, and your body is just sitting on this flight or fight mode, because it doesn't understand what is happening. So instead of you actually removing the toxins, you are adding also and aiding in inflaming your body. And that could make things worse for you, and your mood swings, you're thinking you are good, but you're busy overproducing your stress hormones. And you just stay in a state that is not really good for you, and you are not regulating properly.
What about physical activity during the detoxing process? Is that important at all?
So now, what method are you using, though, while you are detoxing? Let's say you are doing your fasting, and your fasting is extreme fasting. Remember, you still need a certain amount of energy to even do any exercise. So while you are there and you are not supplementing your body with enough calories or enough energy, so trying to go to the gym, as much as it might be good, you need to also be mindful of how much of my energy do I even have to take out to the gym, and how long is this fasting for? How long is this process going to go? If you feel good enough and you're feeling like I can push myself enough to just walk or to do light weights or to do Pilates or yoga, okay, but be mindful of the fact that you are not, as it is, putting enough in your body for you to take out for a workout.
I've got some calls coming through, WhatsApps as well. If you've got a question around detoxing, maybe you want to find out if the way you've been detoxing is the right way to do it. Maybe you want to share what your experience has been. Give us a call or send a WhatsApp voice note. Let's start with your voice notes.
Oh my God, guys, after 6 weeks of eating, drinking, I think that the word detox just helps our bodies and our minds to go back to its factory setting. So whether it works or not, I think it's mainly psychological. And I think that as long as it's safe, yeah, we're in that season.
No, we are, as long as it is safe. And isn't that the important word, right, Winnie? Safe.
Yes, that is the key word.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the key word. How do you know then that you are doing it safely? That's why we have dietitians out there, people who know exactly what will be good for you. And Clement, I must say, what works for you won't necessarily work for me because our systems are not the same. But I see, especially at this time of the year, we as people, we share these ideas and it's like, oh, try this one, it works for me. And then you realize that you actually just went and crumbled everything in your system. Now you have to start all over again.
Yeah, that's something. On the WhatsApp line, Madadla says, Clement, greetings to you and the team. After Christmas festivities, I decided to detox by cutting alcohol. I drink a lot of water, strictly eating a healthy and balanced meals, and walking distances to boost my body again. Okay, so that's how Madala says he's decided to go about it. Here's a voice note that's also come through.
Hello, Clement in the studio. This is Ngema. I want to comment here. I used to suffer a lot with acid reflux, chronic. I was just every day, every time. I wake up in the morning, I'm having acid reflux on an empty stomach. I used to suffer a lot. I tried all the detoxing things. I've used them, but it still did not work. I've tried a lot of things, but still it failed. And then I decided to stop eating in the morning and try to do some fasting. My life changed. I'm okay now. And I'm wondering, why are we not hearing enough of doctors and people encouraging us to fast? Because fasting is very, very, very good. It works. It heals your body. I've seen it in myself. Now I'm eating once a day now, and it's making my mind to be okay and my body to be okay. I don't remember when last I suffered from acid reflux. So I'll encourage people to fast.
Winnie, your thoughts on that?
So with the reflux, it depends on what obviously you are eating. I don't know what he was eating in the mornings. I don't know what was causing him to have the acid reflux, but it's many things that could contribute to that. It could be your slow digestive system. It could be, again, an increased cortisol in the system, like I was saying, and it could also it's those things that could worsen, and it could worsen during a detox when you have those problems. So now on intermittent fasting, and I love that he brought this one up. So intermittent fasting, what it actually does, because I know people do different cycles where some are doing a 8, others are doing a 16 hours. I'm one of those people. I don't eat breakfast. I know this could come as but we are told all the time to eat breakfast. So what it actually does, it improves your insulin sensitivity. When we are eating in the morning, we are stimulating the production or our insulin. But then when you take a little bit of a break, that fasting period, it gives your insulin a break. And then your body finds a way to manage the blood sugar a little bit better. And then when it comes to your metabolic system, you're giving it some form of flexibility where it has a certain time where it's able to use your glucose or your sugar in the system to break down the fat. And then at other points, when you don't have that much sugar in the system, it uses the fat. That's how people manage to keep the weight off longer when they are intermittent fasting, because there is that period where you are not eating. So it forces the body to actually utilize the fat that's already in the system, and people manage to lose a lot more weight. I think with him, I think I mentioned earlier that when it comes to acid reflux, it's also about your digestive system. So when you are fasting intentionally for a certain period, then it gives your digestive system some resting period as well. So you're not constantly eating and it's constantly having to work. And then you'll realize if he also took notice, maybe if he used to be bloated, then he wasn't bloated as much, and that reduces the acid reflux. So yes, I know we don't talk about intermittent fasting enough, but it does play a huge role in how our system functions.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of, because you mentioned sugar earlier, for someone with perhaps a belly fat as a result of consuming lots of sugary stuff, what do you recommend for like a detox of sorts that can help break that fat? Well, as a result of course, the sugar intake.
The voice note that you played, I don't know, a voice note or a message that you played earlier, it was I think you said it's Madala.
Mm-hmm.
He said something about he's detoxing from alcohol and he's eating healthy. So those things, what he's describing actually is how we should be living on a daily basis. So we are not supposed to be consuming alcohol at the amount that we normally do, especially during festive season.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't be eating as much food or alcohol, sugary food as much as we do. So anybody struggling with belly fat, I would say, again, if you are drinking alcohol, cut down on alcohol, cut down on sugary food, cut down on processed sugars. And even, I know most people like bread is the issue, because it's like an easily accessible thing that you eat. But if you are going to consume anything and anything at all and not utilize the energy, the same way I described earlier, that if you are fasting and you know you're not going to be eating anything, and then you don't put anything on your body, but you expect to exercise or engage in intense exercises, then it's going to affect you negatively. It's the same way when you're eating too much and you're eating especially all the incorrect food, and then you don't utilize any of the calories you are putting in, then you're definitely going to retain the fat and you're going to gain a lot more weight. So what do we need to do? Make sure that what you are eating is really what you need, because sometimes we eat because it's right there in front of us. So what I would really recommend, if you know you're somebody who likes snacking, make sure you buy your snacks in advance, and you make sure you get snacks like your biltong that will supply you, and they stay longer in your stomach as well. You feel fuller. So any snacking that is providing you with extra protein, the body manages to keep it longer in the system, and you feel like you are full. But if we keep eating anything that comes, and somebody walks in the office and they're eating even something we consider good, like an orange, but it's still high in sugar, and then the next one you're eating is just whatever is available that's sugary, that is not really adding any value to your system, then you are in trouble. So just do your best. When I say lifestyle change, don't just do it as I am eating now to make sure that in the next 2 weeks I am eating healthy. Make it a habit to say, do I really need to eat this right now? Is it necessary for my body?
Yeah.
Hi, Clement. Great listening to you, and hello to Winnie and the listeners. Mine is very simple and direct. colon cleansing. We call it colon cleansing now, but when we grew up, back in the day, after such a period of festivities, they would make sure that they give you something, and there was a belief that it sort of prepares you for the year ahead and your system is sort of reset. But also, colon cleansing in the traditional sense, I just need to know from Winile whether it helps rev the engine in the bedroom or not. Thank you. I'll listen.
Winile?
Okay. Wow. All right. So colon cleansing, what it actually does, it just removes the toxin in your system. So the fact that we don't pay attention to is that our system can hold a lot of waste. Like when I say waste, like what you need for your bowel movement. So when you colon cleanse, and people have done this, whether traditionally or you go to these fancy places now to get it cleansed, it's just that you're removing that waste. So you're cleaning your bacteria, or you're removing some bacterial guts, right? There is really no scientific or proven research that says it would boost with any weight loss or improve energy. I think it's also just a mental state or mental feel that I feel light because I did this. As for whether it improves you in the bedroom, sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But what I can tell you, I think Mrs. Zulu would say, "Okipe inyongo." I don't know if you can relate to that. Then you feel like you're feeling light, and when you're feeling light, the same as going for a run and having energy and being intentional about having a fully functional system. So even when you get to the bedroom, you will get there with so much confidence that, you know what, I feel good because I know I did this. So you get there, your level of anxiety is much lower and you feel equipped, whether it is real or it's just your mental perception. Now that's something that we probably would have to do research on in future.
Yeah. Well, Winile, thank you so much for making time. Winile Montwane is a biokineticist. It's 3 minutes before 12.
This year, Red Hill School celebrates the achievement of our class of 2025. Our IEB students achieved a record average of 4.3 distinctions per candidate, the strongest results in our school's history. Our international baccalaureate students placed in the top 10% globally, well above the world average. Results like these don't happen by chance. They reflect dedicated students, committed teachers, and families who partner with the school. At Red Hill, excellence is never accidental. It's built together. Visit redhill.co.za for details.
Mzansi, 156 million rand this Tuesday. Powerball has exploded to a breathtaking 156 million rand jackpot, one of the biggest jackpots ever. So don't delay, play Powerball today, and you could win a jackpot to remember. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
You've heard the songs, but until you've seen it live, you haven't experienced the magic of cats. Coming to Monte Casino from 17 January until 22 February, it's the memory shared by millions. Book now at Web Tickets. Brought to you by Peter Turin and GWB Entertainment.
Coming up
On the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Good morning, Mandy.
Good morning, Clement.
What's popping today?
So we still bring you some reaction to the matric results. We'll whoop around the country and speak to our reporters. We'll also hear from some of the top achievers throughout the show. How prepared are schools to reopen tomorrow? The unions say many schools are not ready to reopen tomorrow or whenever it is they might be reopening. We'll look at Iran's withdrawal from the Simonstown naval exercise. And then I'm busy watching at the moment a suspect appearing in court right now for the murder of DJ Waras.
All right, that's what's coming up on the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Thank you for listening to the Tuesday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. We'll be back again tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Maki Molapo. We begin in the south of Johannesburg where frustrated parents are braving snaking queues for a second day today outside the Education Department's district offices in Meyersdal as a final attempt to get their children placed in their preferred schools. This comes hours before the school year kicks off tomorrow. This comes hours before the school year kicks off tomorrow.